Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. Thank you all for being here. This is a place about games, friends, and getting better. I am Ben Hansen, joined by Jacob Geller.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for being here, dude. Joined by Janet Garcia.
Hello.
How you doing, Janet?
I'm good. I'm recovered. I'm back. I'm alive.
Yeah, you had a rough sick week last week. I feel like everyone was just rocked last week.
All of California is getting like a crazy COVID spike. So if you're in California, you've been warned. It's been wild.
It really, I'm recovering too with my voice, but I didn't have COVID. But it really bums me out that like we got rocked so hard by COVID again. There's a spike here in Minnesota. And even to the point of like, okay, then I didn't get to go to Summer Games Done quick because I was sick. And it just bums me out. Like I was so much looking forward to like going there and making a little travel log and stuff. It's like, ugh. And then like, Sarah, you had flight nonsense. So like everyone got screwed out of going to Summer Games Done quick. But hi, Sarah Pazorski's here as well.
Hello.
Hi. Sarah and I just competed on Wednesday in Giant Bomb's arcade pit, where we were pitted up against two Double Fine employees who did a lovely job, James and Jeff over there. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen that show, it is, I thought that Trivia Tower was quite a production, and this is going to just another level of competition with like, okay, you have a zipped up version of OBS that's custom to this game, and then they give you a bunch of ROMs, you have to boot up the ROMs and all this stuff, but it worked, right, Sarah?
There's a game board that you can play on, you move a snail around, and then there's a wheel that you spin to see what you're going to compete in, and there's like 50 or so mini games that you have to play that aren't actual playing of games.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But you know what? Not to spoil it, but we didn't win, but we had fun, you know?
We had so much fun.
It was surprisingly fun, especially any games where we didn't have to actually play some old NES games or Super Nintendo games. Just be like, okay, let's put this on you, and maybe we can pick up the pieces after you explode if you try and compete in this old retro challenge. But thank you for joining me, Sarah. Hopefully I didn't let you down.
No, not. We had fun, and that's what really matters.
That's all that matters. That's what this
That's all that matters. I will not hold it against you that you drew Wario with an M on his hat and not a W. I will not hold that against you.
Well, look, we're playing Pictionary, and yeah, it was Mario, the answer was Wario.
It was Wario!
And I drew, because I got Mario in my head.
Fake gamer over here. Doesn't know his Mario from his Wario? This is like Homology 101, Ben.
Let ye amongst us who has ever played Pictionary and had the prompt of Wario and drew a Wario with an M on his hat cast the first stone, because we've all been there.
You're revealing your Achilles heel here, Ben, because I watched the last episode of Trivia Tower and there was charades.
Yes.
And there was a gap in charade ability between you and Kyle.
I am a big defender of my charades abilities. I got Final Fantasy 13 in charades,
you're under duress,
Janet.
You know, it's like you're hosting, you have your chair.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. When this podcast is going live, there is a reveal stream for Ubisoft's Skull and Bones. Their ship games finally coming out of those misty waters, everybody. So we're not going to be talking about this because we haven't seen it yet. But the plan is for Jeff Marchiafava to distribute a reaction on MinnMax's Twitch account when that's live. And then that'll be up on YouTube after the fact, so if you want to watch that there. Jacob Geller, any interest in that Skull and Bones?
I mean, not in the game, but like I am in the story. Like, you know, and like how long when I was an intern at Game Informer, I wrote a story about like the longest game developments. And so I kind of like I'm weighing that against like, okay, you know, you had Kingdom Hearts 3, you had The Last Guardian. Like how long has Skull and Bones technically been in development?
It has been a long time. And that is, I mean, I'm more interested, I'm with you, in that story than I think the specifics of the game. But maybe that stream will turn us around, so you can check that out on the archive on our YouTube channel. Also, big announcement happened. Janet, this was exciting. We had our first ever poll? No, second poll ever for the deepest dive. And we had a week-long poll running on Twitter. People got to choose between Portal 2, between Live Alive, which is that old SNES throwback RPG, then Jak and Daxter, and then A Plague Tale: Innocence. And somehow it was like neck and neck for days, which I did not see coming. And then Janet, this is a good thing. You shared it. You gave a little rally out there saying, hey folks, Jak and Daxter would be the great deepest dive. That game rules. And it got a little bump and it was moving, but it was still clearly in last place. And then out of the woodwork, this Jak and Daxter community came out and they championed the hell out of that poll, and Jak and Daxter ended up crushing it. So we're officially taking the deepest dive into Jak and Daxter 1, everybody. How do you feel, Janet?
I feel good. I hope everyone shows up to watch it, because I do think that, like, once the Echo Community, which is the handle of the Twitter account, an account I'm very familiar with, I do follow them. They did appear in my chat when I did my, I'm a Jak and Daxter stan, in case you like missed that. I did the anniversary Platinum Marathon Subathon like last year for like the 20th anniversary.
Right.
So I platinumed the game from front to back. So like I know that game really well. I know that community really well. Like anytime they like post, it's funny because it's like not a live franchise anymore, but they like, I feel like the community goes so hard for that game.
Yeah.
So once it was out there, I was like, it's over, because like it did not shock me that it won, because like people really like that game. So, but I hope that they also like show up and, support and or watch the deepest dive after the fact, because yeah, I mean, I want people to watch our stuff. It'll be fun.
That is nice. No, it is nice. Yeah. And then like one of the eco community members like was really championing it, and then they jumped in. Is that what it's called? Echo?
I mean, the handle is it's eco community,
Okay.
like dark, like light and dark eco.
But they immediately supported us on Patreon and jumped in the Discord, and were like giving out tips on the best versions to play and all that stuff, which I greatly appreciated. So they are ready to go. So hopefully we'll get some real Jak and Daxter wisdom here. But this is going to be a 2-part series, everybody, for the deepest dive on Jak and Daxter. So the first discussion is going to be next week. It is going to technically be recorded on Thursday, July 14th in the morning. So we'll need all of your thoughts on the opening of Jak and Daxter 1, submitted on Wednesday, July 13th. You can support us at any tier on Patreon. Submit your thoughts. We'll read it on our show. So for the first stopping point, for that first discussion, we're going to be covering everything in the game up until you get to Rock Village, which Janet tells me you need 20 power cells to get to. So everything until you get to Rock Village, everybody. This is the first stopping point. And then the next discussion is going to be the following week, and then that is going to be the rest of the game. So quick and easy 2-part. It'll be a fun time. It'll be Jeffum and Janet Garcia and friend of the show, Charles McGregor, and then maybe another special guest as well. So it should be a fun time. So we encourage you to join the party for the deepest dive on Jak and Daxter, everybody. Jacob.
Ben,
yes,
real
sir.
Quick,
Please.
Skull and Bones start development 2013. So It is scheduled to come out next year. So that will be a full 10 years.
My God, I'd imagine at this point, some of those developers are Skulls and Bones.
How long have you been holding on to that, Ben?
Honestly, I had it written down in my notes. I'll share it with you later because it's pretty embarrassing. Hey, remember on this podcast like 1,000 times in a row when we were talking about God of War Ragnarok and we all got really high on our horse and be like, no way that's coming out 2022. If that comes out 2022, I will eat my hat and my chair. And then on Wednesday, Sony came out and said, guess what, everybody? November 9th, 2022. Take time off work. Mark your calendars. Draw with permanent marker on your calendars. This sucker's hitting. Jacob Geller, how did that hit you?
I mean, good, I guess. Like, I would like it to come out this year. And this seems confident enough that it's like they could have just kept not saying anything and then eventually thrown up a new trailer and said next year. So the fact that like they're calling a date, great. Yeah. I hope it hits it.
I also hope it hits it. I don't know why. I guess I know why, because everything gets delayed over and over again. But I'm feeling good if they're feeling this confident to put that date out there. But Janet, are you excited? What do you think about the little trailer they had today?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. It's nice to have a date. I do feel pretty confident that they'll hit that date. I think they were very clearly intentional for holding on to it and waiting for them to feel like they were ready to reveal the date.
Yeah.
So I do feel like they're going to hit it. Nothing really shocks me because it's anything can change and things can be very slippery, but I feel pretty confident that that's their date. And yeah, I'm excited for this to come in under the wire for Game of the Year kind of conversations. Yeah. And I'm also now just realizing that November 9th is a week that I am out of town for a wedding. So now I'm hoping the embargo is early enough that I can record something.
Oh, no.
But I didn't notice that until right this moment. But yeah, let's go. It's cool.
Behind the scenes, didn't they give God of War a month early to reviewers? I feel like I remember that one being they were pretty confident and pretty finished, where it's they sent out those review copies way early.
Yeah, I don't remember. That could be right. I don't remember the specifics of it, but it was definitely a game that felt like it was coming in hot, but maybe they got a review build locked in somewhat early and sent that out. That little trailer that they showed, it's so weird hearing Atreus now because he sounds so old, and I'm trying
He's all grown up.
He
He's
is. His voice
now.
is just like, his voice has fully cracked. Like, obviously it's the same voice actor and stuff, but it's just like a weird thing to try and wrap my mind around. It's like, okay, this is still the same Atreus, even though the voice sounds night and day different, even though it's the same actor.
I liked it. I mean, maybe as a not that big of a fan of Atreus in the first game. Like, I think, I was like, oh, cool, they let him age. He's not doing like an impression of himself 4 years ago or whatever. Nor could he. But
right. And the big reveal in this little 30-second cinematic trailer they had was that our old friend Fenrir the wolf, the great big wolf, is revealed at the end. It's a cool image, and without spoiling God of War 2018, but it's interesting to try and see fans trying to wrap their minds around Fenrir the wolf, who canonically, and we all know our Scandinavian mythology canon, right, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, canonically, Fenrir is Loki's kid, but then the world serpent is also Loki's kid. So it gets really bizarre, and especially when you factor in that there's a line from Mimir in God of War 2018 where he said that the world serpent and Thor fought so hard that it like shattered the earth and the world serpent was sent back in time. And so it's confusing to try and figure out what's going on, how much they're adhering strictly to Scandinavian mythology, if there's going to be a confusing amount of like circular time travel in this God of War subseries. Jacob Queller, are you into this? I know you're a big God of War guy, but I remember you were much more into the Greek mythology and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I am kind of notoriously not a fan of 2018's game, but
really?
a lot of the part that I didn't like, because we talked about this recently on like were the old games good or bad. What I didn't like was just like the father and son video game story that we've played a million times, and so it feels like they can't do that again. And the main things I want from a God of War 2 are, 1, more boss fights, and 2, not a story about a dad like struggling to pat his son on the back. And it really seems like both of those things are going to be fulfilled with this game. So I have high hopes.
I think like the biggest action set piece for this game, this is the end of the Norse mythology saga, and it's called Ragnarok, and there's so many gods we haven't seen. Like, there is going to be a battle in this game towards the end that is going to be absolutely bananas. I'm just curious to see technically how far they can push things. But
and it's on the PS4. So how far can they push it?
I am very curious. But yeah, November 9th, 2022, everybody. And not to call a shot early, but I cannot imagine a universe where we wouldn't take the deepest dive on God of War Ragnarok. We did the game club back at Game Informer. It was a fun time. So, I mean, there's going to be lots to talk about. I think it's going to be a fun time. So look forward to that, everybody. But for now, let's talk about 2022. Let's talk about not the future. Let's talk about the past. Let's talk about everything we've covered so far, please. Because we have hit the halfway point for 2022. Basically, it's like you're taking the SATs and they say, your time is half up, everybody. Time is half up. Let's see how you all are doing. Got to track and see if you're keeping up with games. Sarah, do you feel like you're doing a good job of staying on top of 2022's releases?
I mean, I think I've done a good job staying on top of things, but there hasn't been a lot to stay on top of. I don't feel like I mean, like, maybe for me personally, I haven't found yet my one game that I'm like, I haven't found like my Outer Wilds Echoes of the Eye or like my Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. Like, I haven't found my game yet.
Yeah.
I'm still looking. I'm still on that journey.
Yeah, and it's not Stranger of Paradise,
My well is dry when it comes to games. My well is dry.
Well, I mean, it's not that you don't have stuff you love. I mean, you love Kirby and stuff like that, but just you don't feel like you have like that underdog that you're ready to champion type of thing?
There's like not a deep passion for it.
Huh. Well, hey, should we go around and share our top 3 picks of our games of the year so far for 2022? Because we're not doing the full 10, saving that for the end of the year, of course, but just
thank God
figuring out where we're at right now. Like, Janet, what do you think is like your number 3?
My number 3, hold on, sorry. I'm still like getting my voice back. Number 3, OlliOlli World.
Hell yeah. Interesting.
I really love that game. Admittedly, maybe that'll change like over time. But I think that game does a fantastic job at capturing the fun and thrill that is skating. I think it's really like stunning visually. And it's just a blast to play. And I think I also like the balance between being able to have these really intricate combos that you can pull off, and also being able to just kind of coast through the game if you don't want to memorize like these really crazy combos and rack up points. That was one of my beefs with, like, I played like the original Olli game. I forgot if that was just called OlliOlli, but I really didn't like that one because it was so precise on everything that you had to do, and I struggled with it. This one's so much friendlier and inviting. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, full disclaimer, you did a mock review for this one, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you got to play it early and all that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely up there for games that I want to go back to, where I bounced off it and then I went back to it like on a flight, and just locking in time with it on the Switch. It's like, oh, this game is really fun. There is a great flow to this thing. And also, I've just been really craving skateboarding games. Like, I've been really tempted to go back to that Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, because they had that like 120 FPS update on next gen and stuff. And it's like, maybe I could still scratch some of those itches by just going back and playing more OlliOlli World. But great choice. I love that. That's a beautiful number 3. Sarah, what's your number 3?
If I had, I did a lot of deliberation, and
please.
If I had to pick, in my heart of hearts, if I had to pick a number 3,
this is really,
it would still be Final Fantasy XIV, even though it's not a new game. Nothing has dethroned it.
Yeah,
it sits there in spot number 3 still.
Okay,
I'm going with my heart. And my heart says Final Fantasy XIV.
It's going to be a rough end of the year, isn't it?
It really is going to be rough, because you're just going to be like 14. Also, there's this DLC called Echoes of the Eye. I think it should be in our 210s.
Again, it was just that good.
I thought about it so much that I think it should still count. No, that's good. What's new in 14? What's going on over there?
Just new updates, new content, I've just been still playing it. There's a lot to play.
What do you average week? Like now?
That's hard because I'm a busy person, Ben.
You don't have a job. What are you doing over there?
Yeah, I'm doing this, Ben. You've already seen
our job right now, Ben.
We're literally at our jobs.
You know, but we don't have a job. Well, we have a paycheck, so it's good enough for me. You know,
that's true. But okay, average week though. How much time do you think you're giving into Final Fantasy 14?
Probably like 8 hours. 8-ish hours, 8 to 10 hours.
That's impressive.
That's a lot of time.
That's more than I thought. That's wild. All right.
It's a full work day.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 14, everybody's still good.
It's not every day. That's per week. I just want to say that's a week.
Right. You're not a monster. I get it.
Maybe I should change mine to Fortnite then, if we're just doing like
I think
the
so.
vibes.
I
like,
feel
you know
like,
what I mean?
yeah, I think we should go off sheer vibes at this point.
I mean, and it is Fortnite Summer of Vibes. That's the
It is
season.
vibe.
right
It
now.
is
Everyone
the
is
season.
playing Fortnite now. I feel like I'm missing the battle bus, so to speak.
Oh yeah, there's always more room for you on the battle bus, Sarah. If you ever want to jump on, we'd love to have you. There's plenty of space.
What is your renaissance with Fortnite, or is this the first time you've fallen into it, Janet? Because it's been like the last couple weeks.
It's my first time Fortniting it up. I mean, I've always respected it. Like, I played it when it first came out. Well, that's kind of a loose term, came out, but you know. And I was like, okay, cool. I see the appeal. I think this is an amazing game. Not interested because I don't do competitive multiplayer. I don't know what broke inside me that said, let's jump into Fortnite. I think like randomly I just wanted to play with my friends, and then I was like, oh man, this looks way better on PS5 than on Switch. I'm going to download it on my PS5. Then I was like, oh, a new season's starting. I got the pass. And then I bought the crew because I'm like, well, I want this skin. And then I've already like dropped like some V-Bucks into like, they have that emote that like lets you play Pac-Man. So I have that. And I just love that game. It's so much freaking fun. And I've won a couple matches at this point, and I just love it. It's just such a joy to play. It's always evolving. And there's like so much knowledge already out there with like friends I know that have played much longer that can kind of help me like hone my style and like what I like to do in it. And there's so many like amazing fun gaming moments. I do feel like I'm talking from like a million years ago because I am both newer to online multiplayer and new to Fortnite. And I'm like, whoa, gaming with your friends is so fun. But also it's fun to play by yourself. Like I can have a blast playing Fortnite alone.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody. I just drop out and it's amazing, and I'm like running over people, and you have a radio. It's like it's just insane. Again, very late take, but I love that game.
Are you
it's so
playing it
good.
without the building?
No build is the thing that helped. Yes.
Ooh, that does sound
Kind
nice.
of why it's in a renaissance right now.
Yes.
I know Anna's like been obsessed with it. Janet picked it up, and it's all because they took away the building, and it's just a great kind of PUBG battle royale. Like no more building.
Yeah, that is tempting. You're saying the magic words. And like Sarah, I know you're very into the hide and go seek within Fortnite, but like
we're professionals.
Is it like a stance that you have that I will not get into it, or why have you not
I just
dabbled
don't
in that
have
thing?
my plate overfloweth.
Yeah.
My plate is full.
You just said your plate was empty.
You said your well ran dry.
Yeah,
but not
5
for
minutes
Fortnite.
ago.
Fortnite
the well's dry, but the plate's really full.
Fortnite is not the water for my well.
Here, take some of the stuff on your plate and dump it down the well, and then pile on some Fortnite.
Right.
Side of Chuck Splash never hurt anybody, Sarah. Come on.
There it is. Jacob Geller, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a little game called the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition.
I love it. Thank you so much for championing this thing.
Yeah,
do you feel like we're paying enough attention to it in the industry for how good that thing was?
I mean, it's like, I know it is maybe a victim of its own marketing, because
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like people won't treat it as a new game, and that kind of makes sense, but also I think they should. But like, I mean, the thing that I said, I think just in our Slack, was like, I enjoyed playing that game more now than I did the original Stanley Parable when I played it. And I would never have expected that, because it's like, I know the joke. You know, it's like the first time I played Stanley Parable, I was like, oh, I can go left instead of right. And that was like a revelation. And I knew all that. And I still thought this one was like funnier and more interesting than that original game.
You're right. It's a great way to frame it. It is stuck in the shell of its own marketing of like Stanley Parable, Ultra Deluxe. Even talking about it on this show, it's like, this is not just a remaster of Stanley Parable, everybody. It is very aware of that expectation, and it goes places that you would not expect, and it is delightful. But also, it does contain all of the original Stanley Parable. So it's a really tough thing to talk about without just spoiling it. And I feel like there is a way to spoil it that would get more people interested. But it's like, no, just trust us, it's new. And it makes it very clear where the new stuff is, and it's a very fun meta exploration of that. Like, yeah, if you enjoy the writing of, the Portal series, you should absolutely check out Stanley Parable, and Ultra Deluxe would be a great place to jump in.
Yeah, and like the stuff they added is, I think, more specifically my vibe than the first game as well. It's like, I think the original is very funny, but like, the new stuff is more abstract and more kind of experimental and just kind of like strange, like there's not always the first game was also weird, but it's like the punchline is often just kind of a like, this is such a bizarre thing to be happening, and not like nearly as like there's always going to be a joke at the end. It's so good. Yeah. It's just like several of those endings I have just like kept thinking about.
It's bizarre. Sarah, did you end up streaming that game?
I did.
What'd you think?
I mean, I knew what I was getting into.
Right.
It's a good game, fun game, good fun experience.
Was it overhyped, or you felt like, okay, this is about right?
I would say it lived up to expectations.
You sound like you're in a courtroom.
Meets
very diplomatic.
Meets expectations.
Is Davey
Someone's going to lean over to Sarah and be like,
All right. My number 3, really thinking about this. I think at this point it's Pokemon Legends Arceus. For the highs of that game, I had such a blast, and it's a lot of baggage of the Pokemon series and just finally being able to, throw a Pokeball. This seems like a mind-bending experience, just basic core ideas, but just having a sense of adventure, feeling a sense of like danger from a Pokemon world. I really love that experience with all the highs and lows involved, and even the challenging endgame stuff. But we already talked about that enough with the deepest dive. But
you're just saying that because you finished not the Bidoof quest, but the Water Weasel quest.
That's right.
Immediately.
Yep, the best around.
That's what you're saying.
That's right. And I caught that Gyarados that nobody else could catch. But look, I'm no Pokemon champion. Everyone's a master in their own way.
God's favorite, Ben's hands.
Please, Arceus' favorite. Janet, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which in some ways, I wonder, should this be number 1? Maybe.
Number 1?
Fucking good. Mm-hmm. I wonder, but then I ended up not picking it. So then what does that say? But I love this game. I think it was very praised. So I don't want to say it's underrated, but I feel like if you are someone who, like me, and I love Kirby, so I was going to play this pretty much regardless. But when I like heard people, like talk about just how good it was, I was like, I don't know if it's going to be that good. Like I was telling Tim over on Kind of Funny because he ranked it a 5 out of 5. And I'm like, a 5 out of 5? I don't know. But then I played it and I was like, absolutely. Look, I got toward the end and I was like, this amazing game somehow got even better. In the ending just totally blew me away. I think it's so difficult to land, to create that grandiosity in an ending for video games. Yeah. And, lots of people try. They're like, oh, it's a really hard boss or whatever. Or like, oh, it's a big kind of crazy battle happening at the end. But I think Kirby did it so masterfully in a way that I think is really challenging when you're a level-based game, too. It was just like a fugue of sweets at the end. And it was just fantastic. I love this game. Not enough good things to say about it. Also, you can shoot cans as a vending machine. Yeah, that is really good. Yeah, it is. It really snuck up on me. And I'm glad that I gave it its due and had that 180 experience with Kirby the Forgotten Land. Oh, and they gave him a gun. And then the gun upgrades to have 2 guns. Yeah, it is stellar. The endgame stuff, if you want to call it the endgame stuff, did you dabble much with that? The kind of remixy, challengey stuff? No, I'm not pro gamer. I was whoa, difficult? Once I started even dying in bosses, so I was like, y'all taking it too far. The final boss, that final boss rocked me. But yeah, great choice. Great game. Sarah, what's your number 2?
Mine was also Kirby.
Hell yeah. Great game. Great choice.
Just a good experience start to finish. No snags, really. It was very smooth. I really enjoyed being like a light bulb, and I didn't think that I was going to. I enjoyed being a boomerang. I enjoyed mouthful moding things. It was surprising how well integrated it was, and it didn't feel... I thought it was going to be super gimmicky, and it is a gimmick, but it doesn't feel like shoehorned in there. Yeah, for sure. Jacob Keller, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, ladies and gentlemen.
Elden Ring, number 2. You heard of this one? this little game?
This little thing? How have you been sitting on Elden Ring? Has it grown in your mind and your fondness since you've been playing it, or since you stopped, or is it depreciated?
I think it's depreciated a little, which is, it's tough because while I was playing it, I was like, this is the greatest game ever made. So there's kind of nowhere for it to go but down from there.
Yeah.
I think... I don't know. It's like, it's so big that I have not had the desire to replay it the way that I've replayed every other FromSoft game. And like, often my affection for their games really grows in the replays, but it's like, I'm staring down the barrel of kind of like, do I want to spend another 80 hours doing this? And also, like, when you know that most of the things you find are not going to be relevant for, like, what you're doing. Like, the first time you do it, you're just finding all these treasures, and it's great. But, like, the second time you're doing it, I feel like I would be much more kind of like, why do I need a magic staff? I'm not doing magic. But that's complaining about it. Here's the thing. Still, while I was playing it, I was like, this is the greatest game I've ever played.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, while playing it, I remember having that thought of, like, if you were arguing this is the greatest game I've ever made, I would have a tough time arguing against it. That said, it is my greatest sin this year that I fell off and I didn't finish this thing. I need to go back to it. Because Sarah,
you were talking about like last week how like you're very close to the end.
Well,
you got, optionally 100 more hours. But like if you were just to mainline it, you would be able to see credits and probably 15, 20 more hours.
A end is good enough for me. I'm going to be streaming myself playing it on Twitch. So follow MinnMax on Twitch. And I need the community's help to try and get back in that groove, because there's a lot of just specifics that I completely forgot about. Because Sarah, you finished it on stream, right?
Yep. I'm all done, wrapped up. Got my Ronnie ending. I'm married.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm married. We're living on the moon.
Congratulations. That's beautiful.
I love it.
That's beautiful for you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's my number 1.
Number 1, it's my number 1 as well.
I look at myself in the mirror and I don't recognize myself with a FromSoft game at my number 1. I don't know who she is. I don't know what she did with me, but yeah, Elden Ring is still in my number 1 slot.
There it is. Tough to move around. My number 2 is a game that I'm fascinated by, and I can't wait for the Game of the Year discussions from like other outlets out there. Because my number 2 is Nobody Saves the World.
Janet, you also love this game, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on my other lists that we're not talking about currently, but I don't know if it'll move. Yeah, it's a great game.
I think it's a fantastic game. Action RPG, but just I had so much fun unlocking new characters, always just a drip feed of new challenges, new characters to unlock, remixing the skills, building out these specific builds of these characters, combining their abilities. Genuinely some of the most fun in gaming I've had in years. I was just gaga over this thing. And it was a weird case of like playing this before release. I was over the moon about it. Like I remember talking on the podcast, like it's the most I've been quote unquote addicted to a video game, enthralled by a video game. What's a better word, Jacob Geller? Enthralled?
Obsessed.
Obsessed.
Yeah, can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, compulsed. I don't know. The point is I was very into this game.
We're going back in the other direction.
Yeah. Don't do
like I hadn't felt those vibes since like Stardew Valley in like 2016. Like I was just all in on this thing. And then it came out. And well, even before it came out, though, I remember talking to like, Mike Mahardy and Dan Reichert, and they were also like all in on this thing. And then it came out and it's like, it really hits for some people. And for other people, it's like, it's like an action RPG, seems cute. I like the art, moving on. It's like, what? It just, there's something magical about it for a certain
we play
group.
Different games.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Because I also love it. I think it's fantastic. A lot of people that I know were very like, unenamored, is that a word? I don't know. Like not into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're just not into it. They're like, I think this is Drinkbox Week's project, this, that, and the other. I think it's fantastic. I think the humor is totally there. It has references, but isn't as insanely memed as Grumpy Cat is. The synergy between the form abilities is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And specifically playing this co-op, because I will say, and you played alone, right, Ben?
Yeah, super alone. Never more alone.
Yeah. Just you and your thoughts.
That's right.
So yeah, you and yourself and God, among you, like just by yourself, you had a good time. But I don't know how much I would have liked it alone, only because I do think it got pretty hard at parts. But playing with someone else, I mean, you can go from being an egg to a mermaid in that game. Like this game is awesome.
It's got everything you need. And it's available on every system at this point. I don't know if it's still on Game Pass, but Nobody Saves the World. I would definitely recommend not missing this one because it's in a tough spot. It's a January game. I feel like by the end of the year, everyone's going to be forgetting about it, but I really love it. Let's see. Janet, your number one? Yeah,
my number one is Horizon Forbidden West, which I feel like is kind of a boring number one in that it's like, a big AAA game that isn't Elden Ring. Like it's kind of a bit of an unpopular opinion in that sense, but I love that game. I think it totally improves on the first one. I went back and played a bunch more hours and platinumed it.
Jesus.
So yeah, I love this game. Once I got, I had mentioned before that I was sick with COVID, and for a while I couldn't even game. Like I got hit with it really bad. I was just out there sleeping awful. When I finally recovered and was good enough to game, and I played a little bit of Fortnite, this is also what I played. Like, and I was like, I'm just gonna live in this world until it's done.
Totally.
And yeah, I mean, I just think it's fantastic. Like, if you like the first game, if you enjoy just that core combat loop, I think there's more to enjoy with the traversal. Again, definitely up for debate. Like, some people hate how Aloy jumps because she's kind of a mountain goat. I like that she's a mountain goat. I think it's cool. But yeah, I love that game. That's currently my number one. We'll see what happens when God of War comes out.
I love that pick. I feel like most people saying when they love it, it's always like this weird apologetic tone, and like there is such a weird vibe to the discussions about that game. Yeah, but it's like, no, it's like it's a good game.
It's a good open world game.
Yes.
It's not like insanely reinventive, like it's not Breath of the Wild level, but I think it does a really fantastic job at that formula.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just also liked it. I played it kind of like after the Elden Ring month or whatever, because I was like, well, I'm not going to start Forbidden West before then. I feel like people don't give that game's story enough credit. Like it's a really good story. Like there were several missions in that, and just like the ideas, especially like the past stuff, I just think is like so cool and fairly subversive for a, $200 million game made by a, however many billion-dollar companies. Yeah, that game's good.
I'll be damned. Yeah, it's one that I definitely want to go back to. It's on the pile. It's on the pile that I look at with affection and all my heart. But my number one, is Elden Ring as well. And no, Sarah, I haven't finished it. And I know it's weird to put it in the pile if I haven't technically finished it. But I know I'm going to. I know I'm going to get to it soon.
Careful. Life comes at you fast, Ben. Watch out.
Please. I am going to finish it by the end of the year. Absolutely.
This may be your Bravely Default. You don't know.
Don't
which
you
I also plan to
ever
finish before
say
the end of
that.
the year.
Completely different. Completely different.
I don't know. It could happen to anybody. Look in the mirror. It's you.
I'm being bravely defaulted. Aaron Hurd writes in, submits a question over on Patreon, is a better way to phrase it. And they say,
wait, sorry, I haven't seen the number one.
Oh, we just assumed that it was Horizon Zero Dawn.
We picked one for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jacob, what's your number one? Sorry.
Citizen Sleeper.
Oh, man. I should have remembered that he played that. I thought it was going to be Norco. Citizen Sleeper is good.
I mean, they will probably both be on my top 10 list. Norco a little higher up because, like, Citizen Sleeper does all the good things that I liked about Norco, like the cool text and the world building and whatever, but, like, really gamifies it in a way that these other games that I like, you know, Disco Elysium and Kentucky Route Zero, like, they've got great writing. There's not a ton of game there, and Citizen Sleeper, like, adds the game back in a way that I found completely, you know, I played that game in one sitting.
That's amazing. And this is on still just Switch and PC, right?
Xbox.
I guess.
Oh, it is on Xbox.
Well,
yes.
on Game Pass, but I don't know if it's on, like, the Xbox console.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I played it on PC. I can't imagine it has very high system requirements, so that's something.
Lay it out. What type of person would you have to be compelled by Citizen Sleeper? Who should walk and check this thing out? Walk to their keyboard.
I mean, like, definitely if you're a person who likes those other games I mentioned, Disco Elysium, etc. Also, if you're a tabletop player, I think in general this game is, like, centered around the concept of dice in a way that is very kind of tangible. And I don't like tabletop games, but I still liked the dice thing. Yeah, I don't know. If you like sci-fi dystopias, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. There you go. Citizen
It is on
Sleeper.
console.
It is. Okay. Is it on
Xbox? Like, not just Game Pass PC, but I think just Game Pass base.
Gotcha. Cool. Good to know. Citizen Sleeper, everybody. Okay, now Aaron Hurd submits this question. And they say, do any of the maxis, do we like that? Is that cool?
Kind of like MaxiPad, no, which isn't bad, but it is a little bit of a, I don't know about that association.
Okay, interesting. Do any of the maxis have a favorite underrated game of 2022? Although it reviewed well, so not sure how underrated it is. Triangle Strategy is my favorite game of the year so far, and I feel as though it came and went with very little fanfare.
Oh, yeah.
That is absolutely the case. People who liked it really liked it, but that is one that I feel like people will be screaming about at the end of the year that went by fast. But yeah, underrated things from 2022. The one that comes to my mind is sounded like Moira Rose there all of a sudden. But something that I feel like should get more love. I think it slipped under the radar as like, oh, it's just a tech demo. And sure, that is ultimately what a fraction of it is. But Aperture Desk Job, I feel like didn't get enough love so far this year.
We don't all have Steam Deck.
You don't need, that's the thing.
I just played it on a computer.
Yeah, you can play it on the computer.
Steam Deck
It is a 30-minute game from Valve set within the Portal universe, written by the writers of Portal 2, and it's free, and you don't need the Steam Deck to play it. Like, it is such a layup. And I feel like everyone is like, yeah, something Steam Deck, something, moving on. But it is a funny little Portal experience that's 30 minutes and free that everybody can play. So Aperture Desk Job is I think, my biggest contender for underrated game right now.
Did you play, Ben, the Vive, like, Aperture lab technology thing? Because that's another, it's like, I was going to say, well, if you haven't played that, then that's another, like, Portal writers thing. It's weird that they have these writers in a room and they just, like, let them do one 30-minute project every 5 years.
Right. See, we're supporting Portal. We like single player content. Look at this. Yeah. Janet, you got one that's underrated for 2022?
Yeah, I think Grapple Dog's pretty fun. It's a platformer. It's a kind of old school, like, Ilkin style. And you have a grappling hook. Pretty cute. It's like a 76 on Metacritic, so I feel like that's kind of on that mid end. And then I also really want to shout out, it's maybe not underrated because it scored pretty well. 83 on Metacritic. Strange Horticulture was super fun. January game.
Right.
PC only. And I also don't like singing my PC, so if you're like that, please play the game anyway. It's point and click. You are kind of running a plant store, and people come in and they'll, like, have different issues, and you'll have to find the plant. And so sort of the puzzle of it is finding out which plant it is based on, they never really know the name. They'll be like, oh, I don't know, it has like this kind of leaf or it does this thing. But there's also additional fun layers of like finding locations on a map that you have and doing some funky decoding stuff. And you're sort of uncovering this like occult mystery in the town. So yeah, I had a really good time with it. I think it was super well constructed and pretty fun if you like story, puzzle, sim stuff.
Yeah, Strange Horticulture is that one. I think Grapple Dog was the one before. We listed it on the breakdown that we were going to talk about it, then we didn't, and it was surprisingly got a lot of people being like, "Hey, we want to hear your thoughts on that." Card Shark, is that another one that you consider kind of underrated from this year so far, Jana?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I don't know how underrated it is because I'm sure the Metacritic is probably pretty healthy for that game. But I really liked it. I think it's unique in that it's not a card game at all, which I think was like definitely a uphill marketing battle that they had, where it's like, it's not a card game, it's a game about cheating. So basically it's a string of quick time events and little memorization moments, which probably sounds very dull, but I think in practice it can be really fun and playful. I think they have some nice support systems built in for difficulty to kind of make it less intensive. And the story's really fun and the art is like very striking as well. So I think it's a game that is worth checking out, and it has like a lot of character to it, I think. And I think they pulled off what they wanted to do pretty successfully. Yeah,
Card Shark was that one from Devolver. Put that thing out. But yeah, I was always curious about that thing. Other underrated games from 2022 that haven't hit yet?
I'm still thinking about How Fish Is Made. I think How Fish Is Made is like, I still think about it every day. I wake up and I think about that little parasite doing a tap dance. And it really just takes me through the rest of my day.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
It's also free to play.
Is it? Is that right? So yeah, it's on Steam and it's free. If you're just a weird,
it's short. It was like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're talking Aperture desk job material, but How Fish Is Made if you want a surreal little narrative experience that's...
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's got to be like a moment of the year, right? Mm-hmm. Like the music video?
For me,
I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be the contender.
And then there's another game that we also played on Cream of the Steam called Board Dome.
No,
which is really
Sarah,
good.
I'm not familiar with this.
You wrote a really nice review on Steam about it, Ben.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
Is that because you were logged into my Steam account?
Oh, God.
Who knows?
Wait.
I thought that you just really liked it.
Board Dome. By the way, I'm not familiar with this Cream of the Steam show you keep talking about.
I mean Steam's Secret Stash.
I don't like that combination of words.
No one does, but it somehow lives on, even out of the host's mouth. Okay, Board Dome. What is this weird thing? It looks kind of Rick and Morty-esque. Mm-hmm. That's what it is? What's going on here?
You basically play that you live in a perfect world and there's no sense of like boredom or monotony or failure anymore. And so you go into these different experiences. You take these pills to experience things like, like embarrassment or just boredom, or you want to experience like failures, or there's like all these different types of like negative emotions that you feel by taking these pills and then going into these little interactive experiences that they will then prompt you to do something.
So it's in that category of Steam Secret Stash game where you went into it because it looks silly and then it's like, this is actually a good game.
Absolute gem of a game.
Oh, be damn. Board Dome is the name of that one. Jacob, you got some?
I do. It's my biggest one is a VR game. Sorry. It is this game that I just played. We actually brought it up a couple weeks ago. It's this game called The Last Clockwinder that is for the Oculus and everything. You can play it on any VR system except for PSVR. And it is the best. It's so cool. And one of those like every 3 games I play in VR, I have I have never done anything like this in a game experience. Right. And this is one of those. Have you seen the original Fantasia?
Oh, you kidding me? Big time.
Yeah, so you know the scene that always scared me as a child where Mickey trains all the brooms to like carry the water for him or whatever. So The Last Clockwinder is essentially that, where like you have pretty simple tasks that are usually some variation of like there's a fruit tree on one side of the room and there's a basket on the other side of the room. And you've got to get the fruit into the basket. And so you could like pick it and walk across the room and put it in the basket. Or you could record yourself throwing the fruit. And when you record yourself, then a little automaton takes your place and will repeatedly just pick the fruit and throw it. And then you can record yourself again on the other side of the room, catching it and putting it in the basket. And so you have like 2 automatons that are just working in like perfect synchronicity with each other. And it gets so complicated so fast in that it's like, okay, you know, this fruit needs to be cut off using a knife, and there's only one knife in the room, so you have to share it between all your automatons. So you're like recording yourself handing a knife to like nothing, but then you go to that place and take the knife from the other like robot and do it back and forth. And so it's kind of like Factorio or like any of those games that are about like building a system, but like it's all you, and you can see like your own mannerisms in the automatons. Weird. And so it's like, I threw that in a funny way. And so then you can see the robot every time throwing it in the same funny way that you did. It's like, it is brilliant. It's so fun and like, you know, kind of easy to learn, hard to master, all that. Like if you have a VR thing, you should try this because it's just completely unique.
Yeah, The Last Clockwinder. Yeah, it's definitely one that's like, God, I feel like I need to borrow a VR headset just to try that because I want to experience that weird thing of creating an entire factory room of myself that is just a sensation. It's like
you'll have rooms where you have like, you know, 10 or more automatons that are all like doing different things, and then you just get to like stand back and watch them all do stuff.
Yeah. Sarah, how's your VR?
Looks really cool.
Yeah, totally. Are you still into VR stuff, Sarah? Do you feel like that's kind of a fad for you after you got it, and then it kind of faded away?
I still am, but like, I mean, I guess I'll play it more now that I have the time for it, but it's been kind of unless someone comes out and says you have to play this, I am not like actively looking for VR games.
That's this happening now.
That's what I'm doing.
The VR filter, like finding the good amongst the random is kind of hard for VR. Like there's not like a really good, unless it's like, you know, like Jacob or Leo.
Right.
I'm afraid to step on my cat. That's one of the big barriers with VR.
I'm still overcoming a little bit like the VR sickness a little bit. Like I'm still working on like pushing myself and playing longer and longer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I just realized I made this big space in my room because I keep constantly move everything around, and we just did another reset of the room, and now there's this big square of space. So that's where I can play this game. Also, I have a quick question before we move on. Please. Jacob, why were the brooms scary to you?
Well, because I mean, like they go out of control. Like Mickey falls asleep and then he wakes up and they like keep doing it. Yeah. And they like, and I think also I was always scared of like the concept.
The lack of control is, I think, what scares me. Specifically, really Freudian this.
Yeah, there's like a shot too where he's trying to stop them, and they're like marching past him, and they're kind of like stomping over him.
Yeah. The idea that like you would kind of try and cheat at something, and then it would like come back and really mess with you was like kind of a scary concept to me as a kid.
Die? Like, wasn't there like water rising?
He drowns.
Like,
he drowns in that short. He does.
He's canonically dead.
Yeah. It doesn't really hold a candle to the end of Fantasia though, with the gargoyle demon coming out of the mountain. It's the most terrifying thing in the world. And there's like, I just remember, correct me if I'm wrong, world, but in my memory, it is like a topless ghost witch, like coming at the screen, which is just like overwhelming as a kid, like scary boobies. That can't be right. I'm pretty sure. Hang on, do I have to Google like boobs in Fantasia?
Tape over that
it was
VHS.
The era of that jumbo hallucination thing.
Dude, it does. There are hang on, Fantasia is on Boobpedia. Just so you all are aware.
Who isn't on Boobpedia though, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Like live a little.
You know what? Don't Google boobs Fantasia. It turns out it's just a bunch of real people. Did we talk about the Quarry at all?
No, we haven't talked about it. How many of us have played it?
I haven't.
Oh.
Janet?
I'm saving it for Friday.
Well, then I don't want to spoil it for Janet.
Don't spoil it for anybody. But this is a supermassive game, very much spiritual successor to Until Dawn. It's not in the overall bundle of Dark Pictures Anthology, which I feel like those have always been. It's a lot of 7.25s out there for those. But people seem warmer on the Quarry. Do you like it, Sarah? Is it Until Dawn enough for you?
Yeah, the Quarry, just like a top down, the Quarry definitely takes it back to Until Dawn. Because if you remember like House of Ashes, it was very like yeah, it was just really complicated. And the Quarry takes it back to like a teen horror movie. Right. You know, it takes it back to the basis of a bunch of teens fearing for their lives, and there's a very standard movie monster, kind of a standard movie story. I enjoyed the characters a lot more than Until Dawn. In the Quarry, the characters are they all have a little more personality, and there's a little more interaction between them. You know, it's not as... The vibes are better, I would say. Until Dawn was kind of depressing because it all kind of builds off a murder that they all unknowingly took part in.
Yeah.
So the vibes were kind of bad in that one, but definitely this one a lot more positive vibes. But the story was a little boring for me compared to House of Ashes.
Really?
Which was a little more bombastic, in my opinion. But definitely, I think a good return to what made Until Dawn good.
Yeah. That's good. A fun one just to play through with friends. Mm-hmm. And I heard there's like a weird mechanic where if a character dies based on some decision, like you have a limited number of options where you can kind of like reset the clock and be like, yeah, but seriously, don't let that person die.
There was a moment in the game that I flubbed that then made it, and it was toward the end of the game, then made it impossible for me to get... Like, I missed out on, like, a big chunk of content of the game because I flubbed that moment. And usually in other of these games, they kind of give you, like, a second chance. Like, you can mess it up a little bit, and then they're like, okay, but really, like, we really don't want you to mess this up. Like, do you really want to mess this up? And then you can, you know, make a mistake again. But this time it was just, like, it just kind of all went to shit.
Yeah. In a fun way?
I lost a lot of teens, Ben.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I lost a lot of teens.
But that is kind of the fun of those games, isn't it? Is like just to see how many bodies are in the floor.
These poor teens die. It is very gory. If you do not like gore, this is not the game for you.
Okay.
Like Lara Croft dying level gore, or
I'm talking like heads being ripped from torsos, skulls being crushed. Just pretty graphic.
So Mortal Kombat gore.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat gore.
Cool. The Quarry was that one.
Speaking of heads being ripped from torsos, I played the new Cuphead DLC.
Hey, look at this podcast host. Yeah, delicious last course. How was that?
There is a boss where you fight a big guillotine that's like throwing skulls at you. So it is it's cool. It is a cool DLC. It like, if you did not connect with Cuphead, there is no world in which you will connect with this. But I think if you got like halfway through Cuphead, this is actually a pretty cool thing to go back to, because like the DLC has 4 or 5 bosses plus some extra stuff. It's like I beat it in probably 4 hours.
It's $8, you know.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, just seeing the level of animation in those 4 bosses is kind of worth it, because like they have fully... It's like they keep getting more ambitious. Every boss is like 7 completely different rigs that are doing different things. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
But there's this character, Miss Chalice, who like plays completely differently from Cuphead and Mugman, and you can go back and play with her through all of the original bosses, and I think it would be easier. Like she has advantages and disadvantages, but overall I think you would probably have an easier time with Miss Chalice. So it's like if you got halfway through the game and gave up, going back and playing with her might be a good way to get back into it.
Yeah, I want to love Cuphead. I love the look of Cuphead. I love the idea of Cuphead. I fell off it back in the day, and with this, I went back to it to try and play even more of it. I was like, God, I was just beating my head against that wall. But I was struck by like how you unlock Miss Chalice. You have to like equip a cookie, and then you become Miss Chalice. It's like a weird way to just choose a character.
There's a weird amount of plot related to her that she's like, help, I'm stuck in the astral plane, is like what she, and then she like eats the cookie, she comes back from the astral plane.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I thought it was just gonna be like a simple character select, like with Mugman or Cuphead, but it's like, oh no, this is like a weird twist on that. But yeah, just like, you know, the few bosses I've seen so far are just unbelievable. I mean, specifically, I guess it's the first one. Don't judge me, everybody. Like just like the guy on the Gnome Mountain type of thing. But like just, yeah, the amount of detail there is unbelievable.
You can actually access all of the bosses in the DLC like at any point.
Oh,
you don't have to beat that one and then another one. So if you just walk around you should be able to at least see them. And yeah, they are like, reaching their third phase or whatever is probably not going to happen. Right. But like, you can see them.
That's cool. So 2 thumbs up. It's good. Cool. Delicious last course. God, I was just thinking about like the reveal of Cuphead and how bizarre it was and what a different era it was. Because like it is visually one of, if not the most compelling looking games of the last 10 years, right? Fair to say. I just remember like it was first revealed in like an indie sizzle reel during the Microsoft press conference. Like they didn't even make a big meal out of it. They didn't even try and draw that much attention. It was like, I don't know, here's a bunch of games. Okay, you're shooting about aliens, blah, blah, blah. And then it was just like 2 seconds of Cuphead. And because I remember watching it with Jeff Cork at E3 and both of us were like, what was that? Like, go back. I need to see what that thing was. And like now I feel like publishers have gotten a lot smarter about highlighting things that are so unique. I feel like now, if it was the big reveal of that, it would be like, and check out this art, everybody. Try and wrap your minds around this. So,
to be fair, that was all the animation they had done at that point. They only had those 2 sections.
Yeah, it is brutal custom work. Because it was, 5 years for this DLC. It's like, oof.
And it's like, it's great. It's 5 bosses. Yeah. It's like, it's less than half of the original game, even though apparently there's like more animation in these 5 bosses than there is in the original game or something. Like there's some crazy statistics like that. Yeah.
That's wild. Check it out, everybody. Hey, Jacob Geller, do you know how this whole thing operates?
Painfully hand-drawn cell graphics.
That's right, everybody. Very painfully hand-drawn, which you can find at patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. Find the tier that's right for you. Help support the show directly by heading over there. If you like the show, you can help support it, and we would appreciate it. There is a good tier for you. We promise you that. And thank you to our biggest supporters, people like the creators of Ticket to Ride San Francisco. This is a new version of the beloved tabletop game Ticket to Ride. It's, believe it or not, taking place all in San Francisco. And the beautiful thing is I love Ticket to Ride, but couple times I played the big game, I was like, it just takes a little bit too long. I don't know. Ticket to Ride San Francisco, super fast, super breezy. It feels like a kind of evolution of the original Ticket to Ride. So if you love the idea of building out these train tracks and all that fun stuff like Ticket to Ride style, but you just want to maybe wrap a game up in like 15 minutes, Ticket to Ride San Francisco is for you. And also they add onto the rules. They have like tourist tokens and stuff like that. So I had a good time, and it's available in Target, everybody. Ticket to Ride San Francisco. You'll feel like you're in San Francisco. Also, thank you to our dear friends at I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about Escape Academy. This is a game that's coming out July 14th. It's coming out on the Game Pass day 1. Also out on PlayStation and PC through Steam and the Epic Games Store. But I Am 8-Bit is publishing this game called Escape Academy, which, Sarah, you played, and you said you had a good time with it, yes?
Yeah, it's so much fun. Definitely grab your friend, grab anybody, grab your mom, and then it's literally just an escape room in a game.
Yeah,
it can get a lot wackier because it's in a game.
Yeah, it looks good. So the whole premise is that you're in an escape academy, and it's a school where promising students train to become the ultimate escapist. But you can play by yourself, or you can play co-op online, locally, all that fun stuff. So check out Escape Academy when it comes out July 14th if you're interested in that type of thing. Also help support I Am 8-Bit because they support us in a big way by going to their site. You can go to their shop, and you can use the promo code Corn Month, all one word, Corn Month, for 10% off everything in I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store. CORNMONTH, everybody. So 10% off everything in the wonderful online store. There's a link below for all that fun stuff. Help support them because they support us a big way by shipping out a prize each and every week to the MinnMax community. Whoever submits the best question over on Patreon wins a prize. This week, they're shipping out a copy of Untitled Goose Game for PlayStation. Just a physical copy, thanks to I Am 8-Bit. So show them some love. Check it out. All right. Y'all gonna help me remember each and every one of these questions, no matter what? By the way, look, I'm not dragging anybody through the mud, but I've listened to this podcast when I'm not on it, like let's say a couple weeks ago, and every time when it came to community questions, so I was like, okay, look, I know we all phone this in when Ben's hosting, but for now, we really have to remember all of these questions that are coming up. So
you usually just have a strong feeling about one of the questions because you pick them, you write them up, and I feel like you personally are more invested in it.
Right.
Sarah is asking to pick and write up the questions.
No, I do not.
You should let her do that.
They're all my children, Sarah. You're right.
You had more time to think about every single one.
That is true. But okay, maybe what if like this time you were more invested in these questions than I was? Like, just, I don't know, just like shift your heart into a new gear. I don't know if it's like not blinking. I don't know how you do it, but like this is the time, Sarah, where each and every one of these questions, I feel like it's going to be another level. Leafeon says, "What's up, Maps?" Sure. Okay.
Cute.
What is the first game to pop in your head when you hear this phrase? And you all just have to say it as fast as you can. Ready? Game of the year.
God of War.
My mind went blank.
Go on.
I guess Horizon, but
I guess Horizon.
we just did this. I don't know.
I know. That's interesting. Yeah, Leafy, I was just saying that some games, even if they're from previous years, feel like it's just like synonymous with that game of the year. I guess I go Breath of the Wild is maybe the first one that jumps to my mind for thinking like clear game of the year contender, all that stuff. Jacob, God of War. Which version were you talking about? It just feels like it's...
I was talking about 2018.
All right.
There's actually one of my favorite pieces of game writing is called The Game of the Generation. It was written by Jackson on Twitter. I'm not sure how to cite them other than that. Janet. But is about God of War getting 1 million 10 out of 10s, and yet every discussion kind of being people talking about the things in the game that annoy them and be like, why is this game just like so compulsively 10 out of 10 if like no one seems to like actually love it that much?
Do you think it kind of...
And I don't love it that much, but it won every game of the year.
Well, I mean, Red Dead 2 won a lot.
Oh, no,
year.
You're right. Red Dead 2 won more. Also a better game. But God of War just has that game of the year.
Also a game with more complaints.
Like, like Oscar bait. God of War 2018 is like game of the year Oscar bait.
I think
so. Is it the sad dad thing?
Maybe.
Sad dads do hit for a lot of people. They're like, I remember when I had a kid and then I changed my toxic worldview. I was like, you're kind of telling it yourself with this post, but go off.
I wonder if it's kind of like a redo a little bit of... By the way, God of War, I love that game a lot. I'm not trying to drag through the mud or nothing, but I wonder if it's a little bit of like that BioShock Infinite thing, where that game came out and like it was 10s, everybody went gaga, and then I feel like as months went on, it kind of just got picked apart critically more and more, till now it's seen as kind of like a flawed, interesting game. Whereas God of War, I don't think it's been picked apart nearly as much, but I think it's kind of in that same arena where there's a little bit of a backlash now post glowing review release window. Cade Marks writes in and says, "Howdy, MinnMax crew. I've been on a board game kick lately, and I'd love an update on the games that Ben and Jeffem have been enjoying." Jeffem's been enjoying.
I play board games.
I know. I also think it's rude. I also think it's rude that Cade didn't include you. All right. Board games we've all been enjoying recently. Okay. Call me a poser. The game that I have
You
had...
talking about this 2-player card game.
No, I'm not talking about Dust
One more
Fighters.
time, Ben.
Look, to be fair, we were paid to talk about it for a certain period of time there, but I do genuinely love that game. No, this summer, the game I've had the most fun with, a couple of sessions now, is Taboo. The old classic. But you forget how fun Taboo is with a group. If you remember this one, it's like, okay, you have to get people to guess this word, but you can't say these 5 words. If you're looking for just a good, simple party game, especially playing with like family over the summer, hanging out together, all that fun stuff. Like we just, over the 4th of July, we had a big family reunion out in Minnesota here. And like playing Taboo with a big group, it was a hoot. And like kids were playing, they were shouting out words. It was a blast. So that's my deep cut for tabletop gaming these days. But Sarah, since you're champing at the bit, what do you got?
Yeah, since recently I went on a vacation, I bought a lot of board games to play with my family.
Yeah.
And my sister, and we really like to play board games. So one of the games we bought was called Raccoon Sky Pirates.
Okay.
Which is a GM-less choose tabletop role-playing game where you play as a group of raccoons who are trying to go through a suburb and steal things. And it's like you get to play different raccoons. Like you get different character sheets of each of these raccoons, and you all kind of have different, abilities and like pros and cons to your raccoons. You get to write your own raccoon backstory.
Ooh, this sounds good.
You get to be other characters, and you also get to kind of put your ship together. So it's like, is our ship fast? Is our ship slow? Is our ship like noisy? Is it quiet? And like every positive has a negative. It's a little complicated to pick up. You really have to read through the rules. It's a little like indie Kickstarter game. But like I looked at the picture on the front and I said, this looks awesome. And the back of the game just says, flying a ship takes coordination and discipline. Unfortunately, you're a bunch of raccoons.
That's good.
What's the name of this game again?
Raccoon Sky Pirates.
How hardcore is it? Like, you could play with your family?
I would say if you haven't played D&D and if you haven't been sort of like taken through a D&D game,
yeah,
it does involve role playing. Like, there is no board. There's a map, and then there's like a map of each of the houses.
It sounds
and you
good.
have to verbalize what you're doing. So you're like, I'm going to try to steal the PlayStation 5, and to get to the PlayStation 5, I'm going to do like X, Y, and Z. And I hope that it's not like, I'm going to try to do it sneakily. And if you fail the roll, it's not sneaky, it's noisy. And you have to wake up, like it wakes up the dog or something.
Right. I love that. Can I borrow that from you when you're done?
I mean, I have it, so yeah.
Great. All right.
Yeah, and then the other game I played was, I loved those like choose your own adventure books. When I was growing up, like that was my jam, was doing the choose your own adventure books. And they made a card game based off of it. So it's a pack of cards that are different chapters. And you can play it with like, I think as many people as you want, really. But you read through it and then you kind of debate. It'll give you an option like, do you want to do this or this? Go to card number, collect card number. So I definitely recommend that if you like those choose your own adventure games.
What's that called though?
It's called Choose Your Own Adventure. I played House of Danger. Choose Your Own Adventure, House of Danger, based on the choose. It literally, the game box is the same cover as the books.
That's fun.
Like, it looks like the books.
That's
it's
really
a little
smart.
long though, so definitely like you might have to do this in parts.
Right.
It is like mine was like 5 or 6 chapters. But that's easy to play with a group. You don't need a lot of like board game skills to pick that one up.
Yeah, that is genius. That's such a good idea to turn those. I love it. Janet, you been playing anything? Oh, sorry, Sarah, there's more?
Then the last game I played was the Stardew Valley board game, and I think it is a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Really? Because I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
And it was too...
It was hard.
It was hard and complex. Like, there's a lot going on there.
Actual game, though?
It wasn't as relaxing as the actual game.
No, it's like they tried to boil all of Stardew Valley down into a tabletop game, which is ambitious, and I applaud that, but then you're playing and it's like, I just kind of wanted a nice breezy game in the vein of Stardew Valley, not trying to like simulate everything that is in Stardew Valley in a tabletop experience. It's genuinely, I think, one of the most complex tabletop games I've played over the last couple of years was that Stardew Valley game. Like, there's a lot.
Oh my god, that's horrifying.
Yeah, we made a review. Jeffem and I did. You can find it on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. Janet, you've been playing stuff too?
Yeah, it's so funny that we weren't included in the question because I even took pictures myself to read.
Oh, what a jerk!
All my favorite games. But yeah, I have a bunch of board games that I recommend. I'm going to try to shout out a few for brevity's sake. Wavelength is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
That's super, super simple. We might have talked about it before, but it's just, and you don't even have to set it up. It's like in the box. You just kind of lift a piece of plastic and you're essentially trying to turn, you can play with like as little as 2 people to like little teams if you want. And it's like you'll say something like, I don't know, like, you're trying to get them to guess game of the year, right? Maybe that's your card. And you say like God of War or whatever. And it's like on a scale of like, a 0 to 10, where do you think I would place this? And it's like, oh, I think you'd put it here. Or it'd be like things that are better cold or something. And you'd put like coffee because you want to get them to land in the middle. So basically your goal as the top person trying to get someone to land is you want them to like land in the spot that you're given. And you like create a clue that gets them there. It's just kind
really
of like a dial
fun.
you turn.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. It kind of feels, I don't know, it's like personalized trivia. Like, it's like, okay, we're trying to get people to land at this point right here. And the spectrum is stupid versus genius. And I remember like playing with Dan Reichert and he's like, his clue was the first Austin Powers. Which is like, okay, on a scale of stupid to genius, where is the first why did he say the first Austin Powers? So it's like this weird mind game thing of like, oh, of course, that's 60% towards the genius pile. Right there is the right spot,
Yeah. So it's like you got to kind of know the person a little bit as well.
Right.
So it's like a fun kind of get to know you. And then like for us, we always like debrief like, well, why'd you put it there? It's like, oh, I thought this. And it's like, I thought you knew I only got my coffee hot. So you'd put this here or something,
Yeah. Wavelengths is the name of that one. Yeah.
And the box also looks beautiful. I'm a sucker for a nice looking box when I'm just in the store.
Yeah.
I also really loved, so Skybound gifted me a couple board games because I did like a hosting thing with them, but they obviously didn't make me say this because they just gave me the games for like fun because I talked about them. But Kim Joy's Magic Bakery is super cute. I love a good cute game. And this is like a little campaign. So they have like maybe 4 or 5 levels kind of written out. And the levels basically just change the scenario. I think the pitch is like you're a baker in a magical forest and you have like these different customers that want like different orders. And the shtick is like weird scenarios will happen per level. So like one level was like, oh, but this cat comes in and lays across some of the ingredients. So now you won't have access to these cards as you're sort of like reshuffling and trying to, you can play by yourself or I think with someone, I think you can play by yourself. So you're trying to fulfill the orders while dealing with whatever kind of limitation is put on you for like that kind of level. And it's really cute and it's a fun little strategy moment, but it's very simple. And then I think the last one I'd shout out that I've recently played is I guess Monikers, because it's basically just like same deal, right? It's like you have it's like basically like charades. I mean, sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's physical, and then it's a bonus one because that one's really short. Trial by Trolley, which I know we like talked about maybe playing, but it's like you pick it's like the classic like, do you save the 3 people to like kill this other like line of people and they have like different qualifiers on them and it's very goofy. It's a little in that the humor of Cards Against Humanity, but it's, you know, refreshed so it doesn't feel like extremely old because I feel like we all play Cards Against Humanity way too much, but it kind of scratches that itch of like, oh, wacky scenarios and having a little bit of a debate and you're like the person moving the train and you're on teams and stuff. But yeah, it's cute.
Right on. There we go. By the way, Cade, you're not a jerk. I was just being silly. When you said Ben and Jeff, I'm talking about tabletops just because we've talked about it the most. Thank you. Ray Sweat writes in and says, hey, is there a game from long ago that weighs on your mind because he never beat it? I found some time recently, went back and I finally beat Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube and The Misadventures of Tron Bonne on the original PlayStation. Hell yeah. Can't say I regret it. I was surprised how much better I felt knocking them off my list. Only about 30 more games to go. Best of luck, Ray. I love that we went back to Misadventures of Tron Bonne because that's just like, there, if I remember correctly, I don't even think there's like a larger narrative there. It's kind of just a collection of little experiences and stuff, which I liked. But related to that, Mega Man Legends 2, I think, is number 1 on my list for the game that I feel bad for never finishing, considering how much I love that original game and Tron Bonne.
Mine is also a sequel, Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, because it's like I can't, I can play Mario Galaxy now on my Switch, and I did when it came out on the Wii, but it's like there is no way to play Galaxy 2 except digging my Wii back out.
Right.
And I don't want to put the sensor bar on top of the TV.
You could use a candle.
Wait, what?
You could use candles for the sensor bar.
What are you talking about?
I don't want to put candles on top of my TV.
Hang on.
This is like a real fact. You can use little candles in lieu of the sensor bar.
Like tea lights.
Yeah.
Wait, so you don't have to plug in a sensor bar for the Wii or Wii U? You can just put up tea lights?
At least for the Wii. I don't think the Wii U has like a different configuration. Like it doesn't have a...
It does with the sensor bar.
It does it?
It does, yeah.
Well, I'm assuming then yes, but yeah, you can use tea lights.
That is the wildest thing I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard that before.
So also now I feel like we could tell you anything, and if Sarah's like, yep, you would believe us.
100%.
So I'm not trying to do anything with that. But this is true. This is real. This is a real fact.
Well, Jacob Kaler, never count on Nintendo making you happy within a certain time frame. So just dig out your stupid Wii and play that game because it's the best.
I know. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I know that you can emulate Wii games, but it's like you still need to set up something to get that motion control in. And it's like 2 uses the motion controls more than 1. Like, because you have like Yoshi's tongue and stuff, which is like a whole thing.
Right. It is a whole thing. So,
but it's like, people say that like the platforming in 2 is better than the original, but I've never finished it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played a game published by Might and Delight. I forgot who developed it. Really fun platformer. At the time, I at least felt like it was really hard. I played it in college. It's like a one-hit death kind of situation. You can get a little vest and get it up to 2. And I got to the final boss, and the final boss was hard as hell to me. And I never finished it, and I think about that pretty constantly. I'm like, I could just boot it up, and my file's still there. Maybe I should do that. but I also don't know if I want to unearth the pain in case it is still insanely hard.
Yeah, it could be worse. There could be worse fates than thinking about PID every day and having a longing for PID. Jai Bones writes in and says, "Hey, pod crew, a couple of episodes ago, Janet Garcia said that the game Citizen Sleeper is her, quote, chicken nugget game. I waited for someone to chime in with an explanation or query, but nobody raised an eyebrow at the comment. Is this a normal saying? What does it mean?"
Is that what I said?
I don't know.
I'm not confident that's... I'm going to need a timestamp. I don't know if I said that because I don't know what that means.
Okay. I also don't know.
I have no idea what that means.
I feel bad if you said it and we're all just like, and then it moved on and nobody questioned it. But all right, there we go. It's a classic chicken nugget game.
What do you think it would, if you just tried to like trace backwards?
This is giving like OJ if I didn't do it, but if I did by my book.
Yeah, like what do you feel about chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
Are they like very good? Are they like, I'll have them if they're there?
Oh, I love chicken nuggets. I'll eat them whenever they're there, even if I'm not hungry. They're great, even though they're not that well made, which I don't agree with that take on Citizen Sleeper. I think it's a pretty well made game. Maybe it's because it's short and like the nuggets you can eat pretty quickly.
And then you wish you had more nuggets.
I wonder if I said this.
Look, there's no way to know. There's no way to know. There's no way to know.
Roll the tape.
Yep.
Tweet at me the stamp. I want to hear it.
Tweet at me.
I also just have a lisp. I don't know.
Society's weird. Technology's weird. We've gotten to a point in society we can say, tweet at me the stamp, and we know what you mean. Steister writes in, they say, hey, what's the best food level in a game? Food level. Great question.
I think Mario Odyssey had that entire food level.
Yeah.
I watched the GDQ speed run of that,
right?
And was reminded. Yeah, they have like a big pot of soup.
They went savory too, which most games don't do.
Right, that is true. It was respecting the full food spectrum. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying Rayman Legends because there's a couple. There's like the ice level where there's a bunch of just like frozen fruit. Frozen in the icebergs, which is cool. But then the level's called Spoiled Rotten, and that's when there's like fire blasting out, and there's like hot dogs moving around as platforms and stuff. But the Rayman food art is just incredible. Top-notch food art. Andrew Burns writes in and says, really excited for the Jak and Daxter Deepest Dive. Hell yeah. I just wanted to write in this week to strongly recommend playing on the original PS2 hardware if possible. The version on PS4/PS5 is a buggy disaster, and while the PS3 version is better, the developers were doing some really cool things with the PS2 hardware that really couldn't be replicated on other consoles. The game is still great regardless of where you play it, but to get the most out of it, I strongly recommend the original version. Janet, how I've heard this a couple times, and I've heard other people say the PS4, PS5 version is absolutely fine. Do you have strong thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's totally fine.
Okay.
I mean, I'm 95% sure. So the copy that I play is a physical PS4 disc that was made from limited run, but it's them replicating the PS2 game. Like there's a PS3 remaster for the game.
Right.
So like that remaster is not on modern consoles. That remaster was not printed on the limited run disc. Let me know if I'm misspeaking. I don't think I am. So yeah, like it's fine. Like people have mentioned like bugs or little things here and there. I personally haven't encountered anything like that. And ultimately, I don't think it's worth digging out old hardware because I think the controller is so much worse than the modern controller that I personally would rather just do it on a modern experience. I guess if you have access to both, well, one, I'm guessing you've already played the game. So like try it on modern. If you hate it, boot it up on the other one. It's short enough that I think you could make that call. But I disagree with that needing to be, worth mentioning. Like I don't feel the need to go out of my way to mention that, other than to say, hey, just FYI, like that version's not the PS3 remaster.
Right. It is
like a
weird.
fun fact,
It is weird that they're like, okay, the remaster is locked in on PS3, so the version on PS4, PS5 is just emulating the PS2 version. It's really bizarre.
But it looks amazing. Like you wouldn't even know it. Like I had a friend who played it and he thought he was playing the remaster because of how good it looked.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it looks still great.
Yeah, there is something to be said about like it would be kind of cool to get an old CRT monitor to play this thing with the original controller. Like there is a charm to that. I'm not discrediting that or nothing, but yeah, just for the ease, and especially because it's all on PS Plus Premium and all that stuff like that seems like the best way to go. Sam Kennedy says, Dear MinnMax, the Cuphead DLC released for the mere price of $8. That's as much as I paid for a deli lunch today. This is 3 years of work, at least, and charging that low of a price doesn't seem very sustainable. Do you think that the rise of cheap indies and crazy Steam sales has conditioned us to undervalue games? What's more important to cost potential time? Hang on. What's more important to cost? Potential time investment for the player or actual time investment by developers? This is a tough one.
It's a pretty cheap deli sandwich too.
That is, yeah. Where's your deli? Because we want to go.
It's weird. I mean, I really like, the kind of like cost per how long you play it is like an ever going debate that really just depends on your disposable income. But like, I do think it's fascinating that like, like game costs increased with this generation, that new games on like the PS5, and I guess if you bought, it's like I haven't bought a game for Xbox because there's Game Pass, but it's like new games cost $70, and it's like part of the explanation is like, well, game prices haven't gone up in 20 years,
right,
and games are much more expensive to make than they used to be, but every game goes on sale for 50% off like 6 months after it comes out, it feels like. And so it's like, how, I have no idea what, like, do people, I don't know how game prices work. Like, I really don't understand.
I feel like
where they make most of their money, and if people need to buy it new in order for them to like turn a profit, or like what the deal is.
It's the classic thing of like, oh, case by case basis. Because I think some people try and get out there and be like, okay, well, we're going to go so cheap with our game or make it free because we're hoping that we get a big audience to come through. But I think it's a little bit different with something like DLC to Cuphead, because who knows? But I would certainly put money down that if they had projections of how much they were hoping to sell for copies of Cuphead, that it quintupled any projection they could have possibly had. And so the idea of them releasing DLC for $8, it's like, well, it's almost just like a thank you for buying the game at that point, right? We don't need this to survive. We got that Netflix money rolling in, baby. Or even think of like, Hello Games. It's like, well, they sold so many copies of No Man's Sky, they can just release all these updates for free now, because what are they doing? They don't need your money. They're still rolling in cash, and people are still buying that base game. So it's different in this case, I think, compared to.
It's like, how much did Intergrade cost?
Ooh, the upgrade was confusing. I mean, it's $70 on PS5, but it was that confusing upgrade path of like, I think.
Well, no, but yeah, like just the DLC.
I want to say $10.
That came out before it was remastered.
Yeah, is it possible to say $10?
I think it was more than that.
20? Ooh, 20. I think. Let's see. This is the Final Fantasy 7 stuff. Yeah, $20 for that thing. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, I think if Elden Ring DLC comes out, it'll probably be $20. Like, and I won't feel like that's unfair.
There's a lot of game in that core game for a $70 purchase or $60 purchase on last gen, right? Yeah.
Most people also don't play the DLC or buy the DLC, so I don't know how that factors in. To plans in terms of like, outside of like, I want to make this piece of art, like, I don't know the fiscal logic that goes into DLC in that sense, because most people don't play it or buy it. And if they do, they definitely don't finish it. Like, it has like the lowest completion, like the lowest guide traffic. But yeah, I mean, I do think that the cheapness of indie games does kind of change how people perceive how much they should cost. I mean, I'd be lying if even like me, who a lot of times doesn't even have to buy the game, if I'm not like, really, it's this, even though it's more, I did it more internally, because I think externally it's just not a valuable contribution to a conversation around games. But yeah, I think we expect it to cost what we're used to it costing. So the fact that indie games are usually like, an expensive indie game is like $30, $40. That also means that like anything that doesn't feel like high-end indie, we're going to expect, well, this has to be 20, 10. Is it on Game? Some people don't even want to pay anything. They're like, is it on Game Pass? If it's not on Game Pass, I'm not playing it. I don't care. And I'm like, well, that's just part of how things are.
Yeah. I mean, back when mobile games released that like cost money and weren't just free with microtransactions, it was like there would be a game on the App Store and that same game on Steam, and the one on the App Store would cost like 99 cents basically because it had to. Like, it was like they could not charge over $5 for a game on a phone because people would just be like, no phone game is worth over $5, even if, you could buy it for 15 on your computer and feel happy with it.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Berry writes in with a very important question. What's the difference between a teacher and a train? Well, a teacher says, spit out your gum. Well, a train says, choo, choo. Look, not only will we take missed joke opportunities, but we will also just take jokes if you want to write them in. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Anything that makes the show better is what we like to say around these parts. Dustin L, however, writes in with a missed joke opportunity. Says, when talking about wedding rings and silicone bands last week on the podcast, Kyle said that the silicone bands act as dampeners. Then Ben said, well, I'll be damned, when he clearly should have said, well, I'll be dampened. Marriott Player writes in and says, hey, this might count as a missed joke opportunity. Last podcast, Jeffem said, it's a me thing when talking about how the new Mario Strikers isn't for him. And none of you said, it's a me Mario.
That one
I
is
feel like
actually
I've been
very
like
good.
pulled into my teacher's office, or like I'm in like my one-on-one with my boss, and they're like, I noticed, Sarah, that during that meeting, like you didn't ask our clients about their weekend. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I didn't ask them about how their vacation was.
It would have been nice. It would have
been nice.
Can you
Sarah.
imagine if the podcast did actually include every one of these missed joke opportunities? It would be like it would be completely incomprehensible.
Have you listened to our podcast over the last couple of years? I feel like it's nothing but shoehorning jokes where they shouldn't be. Can't Blink writes in and says, hey, cohorts, sequels have always had a lot to prove to stand up to those franchise starting games. What are some notable sequels that are better than the first? And what about them makes them an improvement?
Portal 2, there's Gel, and I think it might be a little longer.
Oh, it's definitely longer.
Gel.
Most game sequels are better.
I think
right?
that's the default, isn't it? Yeah. Wait, is there the flip? What game sequel is not better? Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry 2 is the number one example, I think.
Oh, the second Tales of Symphonia.
Oh, interesting. Within the Tales of Symphonia universe. Yep. The
I don't know why they did that.
Yep. Second Shadow Hearts game wasn't as good as the first. Yep. If we're going RPG subsets here.
Really seems like it's a 50-50 mix.
I don't know.
I don't think it's 50-50. I think almost universally the sequel is better.
Well, but then there is a lot of...
Let's keep an eye out. I'm not sure.
It is interesting. I think you're right. Like, that's the conventional wisdom. It's like, obviously, Diablo 2 is better than Diablo 1. Like, everything just gets better and better over time. But there's enough out there where it's like, I wonder if just in the grand pantheon of video games, is sequels by and large are worse. I mean, just Final Fantasy X-2. Not saying it's not good, but it's not as good as number 1. Like,
you shut your mouth. They gave you a gun. And she got to be a pop star.
You're right. It's an incredible opening number.
Is Final Fantasy 2 better than Final Fantasy 1?
That's a great question. I think so, but I've never played through those games. I don't know.
Is Zelda 2 better than the original Zelda?
I don't think so.
That's an interesting
DJ Tommy.
one.
I think for certain people, like, your old dear friend, Mark McDonald over there at 84 would argue that, Sarah, but I think he might be a little bit out on the limb for saying Zelda 2 is better than Zelda 1. Yeah, it is. I feel like there's a lot of people quietly cashing in with subpar sequels that we aren't factoring in because we're so focused on like the Assassin's Creed 2s. There's so many classic big examples.
For a fool. No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Do you guys have examples though of sequels that are obviously better other than Portal 2?
You said Final Fantasy X too.
Yeah, we said the best. You're right.
Silent Hill 2, God of War 2, Uncharted 2,
for everyone.
Just Cause 2. They're all better.
Furious.
All right.
Except that one's not true. I don't think.
No, it's not true in movies. Like, it's really, it is, I think, a uniquely game thing because, like, it's not like you learn to use a camera better for the sequel to a movie, but, like, you do effectively do that with games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have so many pent up ideas, and then Titanfall 2 can be like, hey, here's all of the great ideas we had over the course of the last 5 years of development. Put them in this game, please. Christian Jimenez writes in and says, hey, so I went jet skiing for the first time this past weekend, and it was a frickin' blast. Besides the whole body soreness the next day. All throughout the day, I kept thinking of one of my all-time favorite games, Wave Race 64. I want a new one. Now, who is with me? Huzzah! They made one for...
VR Wave Race.
Does it not exist?
It might, but not officially titled Wave Race.
They had the GameCube Wave Race game, I believe.
That's the one I played.
Yeah, was it good?
I was very bad at it. Did not understand what was going on at any point during the game.
I don't understand.
Didn't even know you were in water.
Did not know what I was supposed to be doing.
Our family got a jet ski last summer, which it feels like the
look at you.
Yes, exactly. That was
Last
exactly
summer, though,
our
I'm
tone.
surprised it took that long.
Really?
You have a cabin on the water, right? So
We have a garage on a lake.
Damn, is this the kind of life y'all be living? Because you got like properties and assets and stuff?
Well,
like, this is
our
crazy.
families do. We certainly
We have
don't.
one parking spot that's like guarded.
Fair.
But is there a jet ski in it?
No, there's not. There's a bike that the lock got cut because I guess one of my neighbors didn't want us putting our bike there.
Oh boy. But yeah, so our family is not a jet ski family, and it was all because my nephew said that he wanted one, and so my parents were just trying to spoil him. Where it's like, what?
You just have to ask.
Well, if you're a cute little dumb kid, yeah. Anyway, so jet skis turns out are super super fun, but I haven't done it yet. But I feel like it's a good time, and I can do the thing where you try and like keep it as vertical as you can for a long time, and you do like the whole loop-de-loop, and there's fun stuff there. But I feel like I need to like look at like a YouTube walkthrough, like a dork of like what's the next. Well, how to have more fun on a jet ski.
Jet ski tricks.
Yeah, that is exactly.
beginners.
If you have any good jet ski tips, I'm looking for, because I have a good time on it, but I feel like there's another level of like jet ski trickery.
Doing more.
Yeah, you could always be
I
doing
really
more.
like. I have a, my whole life I did not go on jet skis, and I would see people on them and judge them so harshly
100%.
because they are loud and annoying and
having way more fun
pollute
than I
and
am.
whatever. And then I went on one time. I've never even driven one. I just held on to the back of someone and was like, what was I talking about?
Yes.
This is like the most fun I've ever had.
It's ridiculous. It feels like a super safe motorcycle. You know, it's like this is just everything. It's
That sounds
unbelievable.
good.
It's very.
Do you need
good.
to be able to swim though? Because I can't swim.
You just put a life jacket on.
What does that mean?
I mean, I would say
But like, isn't
don't.
that dangerous? That's dangerous though, because if it pops,
I
or
don't
something,
think you
I'm
should
just
go
dead.
out into the middle of
Electric,
the
it
lake
doesn't
and not
pop.
be able to swim.
hang on.
That's what I'm
Hang on.
saying.
There's a lot of things to unpack here. Life jackets are popping. They're not like
They don't
balloons.
have air in them.
Janet,
Well,
what,
it can still be destroyed now. Like I'm just saying, like I don't know if I should go on water
you're
with only a life jacket.
I mean,
Yeah,
life
you should
jackets
be
are fine,
learning
but
how
also
to.
you should learn to swim if you're going out in the middle of a lake.
What
I
will-
feel like.
probably.
what would happen, Janet, if like I'm not going to do this, I promise.
She
Hand
would
to God.
drown,
You
Ben.
threw
What
me
are you
into the
saying?
water.
Yeah, if like we were on a jet ski and you didn't have a life jacket on and you fell off, like could you like splash around enough, or do you think you just be like a rock straight down? Like what does it mean not to swim?
It depends on how much I can perform under pressure, which I feel like is not much. And you get
Yeah.
really tired swimming. Swimming's hard.
It is.
I don't know. I might die, honestly. Probably would die.
How,
I'd at least get close if
When-
no one came to get me.
when was we would come to get you, just to be clear. We're not trying to
Come
murder
get
you.
you, Janet.
Okay, first of all, I'm not going on the jet ski with you.
Why
It's
not?
too much.
Just
I'm not
come
gonna
on the
risk it
jet
all.
ski. Trek to Shrek. When was the last time you like
You gotta
tried
stay
to?
really close to the, and then I'm short too, so we can 5 feet. That's as far as we're going out. We're gonna get like 1 foot out.
When was the last time you were in water where you couldn't touch?
I don't do that because it's
You just don't do
dangerous.
it.
Never, because she
Probably
can't
never.
swim, Ben.
But I just
Maybe in a pool, if I did, you know, when it goes like it dips down,
Yeah.
and you're like, whoa.
Right,
it's gonna
right.
be if you're normally heighted, you're not like, whoa, you know. Maybe then, which I don't know. I haven't been in a pool that deep in a while. Probably when I worked at a bougie gym,
Oh, okay.
like many years ago or something. Yeah.
Sarah, if I may keep interrogating this witness, I just like the can't swim thing is just interesting to me. I just don't understand it. It's like I understand not being able to like swim
it's not
well.
as uncommon as you think.
I guess
Because
so.
learning how to
Because
swim
I'm not
is
in
a
water
very
a
like
lot.
it's people who are able to learn how to swim are people whose parents put them in swim lessons. Probably, or parents who actively like made their kids learn how to swim. My mom had a fear of me drowning, so she made me take swim lessons for several years.
Yeah.
I guess it's just
Yeah.
I with Ben, it's interesting just because it's like, Janet, you're obviously very athletic.
Right,
Like you
right.
like ran a marathon or whatever. And so it's
Thank
like
you. I feel like we don't talk about
feels
that
like, you know, it seems like, you know, in 5 minutes you would be able to
Yeah, that's
learn. But it's like I'm just saying that as being like, learning English is super easy. I did it as a baby. Like I don't
Right,
actually
right.
remember how
I
hard
think
it
I
was
can
to
learn.
swim.
But I think there's a lot of things that are challenging. One, you have to relax, and I've never been relaxed. So like I was in the pool with my brother for like leading up to his wedding because we stayed at like the hotel that they got or whatever. And like I did some floating and I did a couple little kicks, but it just I think it would just take time. I think I can learn because I understand the basic mechanics, but I haven't executed, and I've definitely never executed in a space of need. Like it's never been like if you're not swimming, you're gonna like kind of drown. I mean, maybe
Right.
not that crazy, right? You're like just 6-7 feet or something. Because again, I'm short. But
Yeah.
I don't like. I haven't done that. I haven't been like we're hanging out in the pool and I'm floating and I'm okay. Like nah, I can't
even in
I can't execute right now.
Because honestly, swimming a little overrated. I'm more of a floater. I need like an inner tube. I'm not I'm not going to tread water for fun.
But
well, the thing is, since
fun.
I don't know how to do it, I'm not going to go deep into the ocean, So it's like, when am I going to learn in a pool? Where am I getting access to a pool? Yeah. Like, you're not. So it's like,
okay.
Just one of those things. But I'll learn, and then I'll go on this bougie jet ski and then, be the 1% over there in the middle of the country.
That's right. It actually...
Where you guys have $8 delis and stuff. It's like a whole nother world over there. I'm excited.
That's right. Live it up.
But also I'm scared that Ben's going to drown me.
0% chance. 0% chance.
Like, the true podcaster would rise from the waters. And I'm like, I'm just going to drown Ben.
As long as your life jacket doesn't pop, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Owen McCarter writes in and says, hey, what's your favorite non-video game media from the year so far? Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I just watched Severance, and it was as good as everyone said. Just like, I've been watching a bunch of like crappy Disney Plus shows and then being like, oh, this is what like good TV is like. Wow. It's like, it has like acting and stories.
I like Miss Marvel, all right?
Yeah, Miss Marvel's kind of fun, Jacob.
No, I haven't been watching Miss Marvel, to be fair.
What are you watching on Disney Plus? What's going on over there?
No, Severance was incredibly good. And also, I've shouted this out before, Triple R is the best movie of the year.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
Hollywood epic.
Here's the thing. I want to watch it on a projector outside because we have a little movie screening every Wednesday at our place. It's very dorky. Is this also bougie, Janet?
What is this?
Yeah, I mean, like, y'all need to go back and re-listen to this as someone who doesn't have any of these things.
You want
and
me
just
to
think
move
about it.
to California for like a month.
Why?
Just move to LA for a month, Ben.
Make your life worse, Ben.
Yeah.
Go somewhere where everything costs more and everyone's
We have nice
sad.
views,
No,
and
it's true.
we have a lot of our rights still. So, it's not so bad out here.
Hey,
but
Minneapolis
anyway.
has edibles.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
accidentally
we do have
legalized
edibles.
edibles. I guess
But did they accidentally legalize them?
it's funny because it was
Or
an
was it on
accident.
purpose?
No, but we had that Halloween sign for a while, which was hilarious.
That does sound pretty good. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, this Triple R film. I'm excited to watch it, but it's like 3 hours long. And also, it means that, okay, when the sun goes down, I'm going to have to stay up till like midnight watching this thing on the projector outside. So it's tough. I think I just have to wait for the fall.
Staying up to midnight is hard for you, Ben? When do you go to bed?
How dare you? My wife likes to go bed early, and we like to go to bed as a couple because it's sweet.
Fancy. Yeah, you and your wife and your projector and your jet ski and your Patreon.
Ben, do people come to the movie night, or is it just like you two?
No, people come to the movie nights.
Okay, because it's a very fun movie. It is like surprisingly violent. So I don't know if they're like
heads
kids or if it's.
So give a heads up that it's violent and long, but that you will defend it every.
But it's the best movie of the year, easily.
Over Everything Everywhere All at Once. That is shocking to me.
Yes, look. I love that movie. It's great. Triple R is unlike anything I've ever seen. Interesting.
Ray Lawaza points out that you dodged the most pointed question here, Jacob, which was, what is the Disney Plus shows that you're watching that are crap?
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Wow. Boring show.
Obi-Wan boring show. We did a whole Max spoilers about it, but with all those Star Wars shows, it's a bad spot to be when I'm looking at things that should be mind-blowing as a Star Wars fan, and I'm feeling nothing. It's like, you're seeing Darth Vader do more and talk more than he did basically in the entire original trilogy.
Yeah, and it turns out it makes it worse. It turns out they knew what they were doing when they had him not talk or do much.
I don't know. Jason Wojnar writes in and says, hey, your friend has you house sit to feed their cats for between 5 and 7 days with no stipulations as to what you can or cannot use around the house. How much of their house and resources do you use?
That's your house now.
Are you staying there?
Change the locks. Okay, so
house sitting?
Squat. Legally, if you're there for... No, I'm just kidding.
They say house sit to feed their cats.
So you're living there.
Well, so Jason says, is all food in the fridge free game? Do you sleep in their bed? Do you use their toothpaste, towels, soap, and shampoo? Well, no one uses shampoo, but other than that, this is tough. Okay, so the idea is, I guess you can't ask any follow-up questions. Mm-hmm. So it's just, the assumption is, hey, can you stay at my house, cat sit for 7 days? Goodbye. What are you feeling comfortable doing?
They throw their phone into the ocetion after that. It falls off the jet ski. I think you can totally, if you really can't ask any follow-up questions, you can do most stuff. You just have to, you kind of got to treat it like an Airbnb. So it's like, okay, you can sleep in the bed. You can use the towels or whatever. If there's laundry, like if they have in-unit laundry, I would wash anything you use.
Strip the sheets.
And I would clean any dishes you do use. And I probably would eat pretty much anything because it's going to go bad. Like, you know, unless like, I don't know, there's something really personal, like a birthday cake I wouldn't eat if they had a birthday cake in there or something. But yeah, anything's fair game. I would say like if you kind of clean them out of something replenishable like soda or beer, I would replace that.
Interesting.
But like,
okay.
yeah, or maybe if you like, they had 18 eggs, you ate all 18 eggs, you just went hard on these eggs. Maybe you get a carne, you know, the quick run, but yeah,
I feel
chug
like
that milk.
It matters if they're paying you. Like if you're just like staying at their house as a friend feeding their cats, then I think you can like eat anything.
Go to town.
But if they're like giving you, you know, $40 a day to do it or whatever, then I think feel a little bad about like eating all their food.
You know how it's like the big joke about medicine cabinets, like snooping in the medicine cabinets? Is anybody actually tempted to do that? Do you feel like you really would?
I do.
What do you get out of it?
I absolutely do not let me in here. I open everything.
I guess you did use my bathroom downstairs, and you're like, "What's with all your soap on the floor?"
The 12 bars of soap were behind the door. You could not see them.
We don't have a shelf in there for them. But what is it? Are you hoping to get like, butt cream? Isn't that embarrassing?
No,
like,
I'm just bored, and I'm like, "What's behind this door?"
On door number 1. Okay, so
you treat it like it's a walking sim where you just like open everything.
Yeah,
you're
and
like,
then
just to see.
Oh, I remember when I was cute.
The story is just Sarah's bored when she's at anyone's house.
Yeah.
Like the company of others.
We're all failing to entertain them at any point.
Let me take a look at this stuff.
Attack Corgi writes in and says, "Hey, MinnMax's Discord has got me wondering, what other Discords are out there? None! Here's what I found. Member counts may vary. The largest game servers for Discord. Somebody want to guess what the number 1 Discord is for games? It has 1 million members.
Minecraft, it's got to be like Fortnite or Minecraft or...
Okay, good guesses. Minecraft is number 3 at 800,000.
Not Roblox, that's too young.
Here's a hint.
Is it multiplayer? I assume.
What a great question.
Did any of us guess the other one? Like we shouted all stuff.
No.
Were any of us right?
Okay. Number 1 is most interesting to me. Number 2 is Valorant, which is way to go. That crew for having that active of a community.
It's not League then, right? If number 2 is
No,
Valorant.
but you're warmer. The question about if it's multiplayer is stumping
Dota,
me.
Is it?
No.
Okay, so it's like a questionably multiplayer game.
I don't know if it's multiplayer.
Death Stranding. I don't know.
It's a game that came out like 2 years ago, and it was like, oh, that's interesting that somebody made a clone of this game of the year.
Oh, it's not Among Us, is it?
No. It's like, what an interesting clone.
Moving
of the game
on. Of the year.
But then like the fan base for this game has just continued to grow, and it's mobile and console, PS5.
Have we played this game?
I don't know. I would be surprised if none of us have tried it. I've tried it for a little bit. There's a very annoying character in it. It's a Breath of the Wild clone.
Oh, it's Genshin.
Genshin Impact at 1 million members. Is it multiplayer?
I think of Genshin as
multiplayer.
Yes, okay.
I don't think of it as like a Game of the Year clone, personally.
Yeah, I don't think it either.
That didn't help me get to Genshin.
Also, it is somewhat multiplayer.
It is somewhat multiplayer. Okay.
My question is,
why didn't you say it was a
I guess is that like an entirely English-speaking Discord?
I don't know.
Because it's
Great
like,
question.
I imagine that game is enormous in China. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay, a streamer has the 4th largest member count. What does that mean? Oh,
in their Discord?
Oh, so the 4th largest Discord is not a game; it's for a streamer. Somebody guess who it is?
PewDiePie.
Or I guess not streamer. I guess YouTuber.
XQC.
No, YouTuber might be a better description.
YouTuber Ludwig?
No. Leo,
Jacksepticeye, Markiplier. I don't know.
No, you guys, I'm very impressed so far. This is something that Leo introduced me to a couple months ago, and he said, "How have you not heard of this person?"
Does his name start with a T? I forgot.
It's definitely a
Tim
his.
the Tap Man?
No, it's definitely
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
Oh,
really?
That is more of a YouTuber.
What do people even talk about in there? I hope Mr. Beast gives me $5,000 for walking down the street.
Oh, are they the ones that got the Minion thing of like wearing suits in the theaters or whatever?
Yeah. I think Mr. B started that. Although I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. The largest music server comes in at number 9 overall with the Lo-Fi Girl server at 700,000 members.
Proud of her.
That's just a girl server. That's
Probably
sideways
Yeah,
lo-fi music.
probably like the number one
is this where
women's
the girls
server.
are at? This is Lo-Fi Girls. Oh, man. Well, I'm not going to uninstall it now. It'd be too suspicious to leave.
Gotta get me a lo-fi GF.
Is this where the girls are at? Odd finds, this person says, Wendy's has its own server because, of course, it exists.
Yeah.
43,000 people are in the Wendy's Discord. On the food topic, there's a Discord all about sharing/judging pictures of people holding food in their hands.
This feels like a fetish.
Well, they say it's safe for work.
I was thinking that a little bit too. Like,
apparently
we define
not.
print on these, y'all.
Are any fetishes safe for work, I guess is a question? Is that exclusive?
Not if it's a fetish.
If it's,
like,
but if it's just people
it's okay to
holding
like
food.
have a hamburger at work, but it's not okay to like have a hamburger fetish that you exercise at work.
But is it okay to hold a hamburger at work and then take a picture of it and share it online if people are
Not
into
if it's
it?
for fetish purposes, but if it's for like, oh, what'd you eat for lunch?
yeah, it's
like we're
is
sharing
it making
lunches.
other people horny? Then no.
Yeah, but you can't control that. Jacob Geller, you know better than anybody.
Well, you can control where you're posting it.
Yeah,
you just
if
posted-
it's like a place for that is,
Okay.
it's different.
Sexuality is weird. Goose
Context.
Goose from Untitled Goose Game has a server. All that exists is the word honk, they say. Interesting. There's a karaoke lounge with 60,000 people to feel embarrassed in front of. Language Sloth
really good.
is a sloth-themed server that'll pair you up with mentors to teach you a language. And yes, the Discord is sloth-themed. That sounds great.
I'd be
Also,
afraid they were lying to me about the language.
it's true.
We're actually just Google translating everything.
Really slowly.
There's a cats Discord and a dogs Discord.
Oh, so not the musical cats.
Well, maybe
Just the animal.
maybe it's a double thing.
I'm sure that exists too.
Hang on, have they made a musical called Dogs?
No.
Surely someone's
What would
tried
that
to
be
cash in
about?
on that. What's Cats about? It's about Rum Tum Tugger. It's about nonsense.
Cats have real issues.
Oh, dogs.
Not,
are just
not the
stupid.
musical cat.
They're just like,
Anyways, yeah, cats have 300,000 members and dogs only have 27. So suck at dogs. Ollie Clay writes in and says, "Hey gang, I recently went to see ABBA Voyage in London. Have you all heard of this?"
That's the hologram one, right?
Yeah, they say if you don't know, it's a concert, live show, light show, unexplainable magic show. ABBA themselves are pre-recorded and I guess mo-capped into their bodies from the 70s. But then there's a live band as well. You can't use your phone to contain the mystery. And ABBA interact and they have light banter with the audience like a regular gig. It's not like those stupid holograms of Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston. It was ridiculously realistic and one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. Only occasionally in the uncanny valley, and especially weird when you remember you're clapping at nothing, but I would wholeheartedly recommend it to everyone, not even just fans. So it's not pre-recorded then? It's actually ABBA and they're being mo-capped?
I think it is pre-recorded.
Yeah, it's pre-recorded.
So they say they have light banter with the audience. So that's just like, how you doing out there, San
they
Francisco?
can say like, oh my God, we love insert city here. I hope you guys have a great time. You guys have such a good energy. Like they're acting like Hatsune Miku hasn't been
That
doing
is
this
how
for
ABBA
5
sounds.
years.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Hatsune
it's
Miku.
been done.
Yeah. She was on David Letterman. So give
She
her her
opened
due.
for Lady Gaga.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked at footage of this ABBA Voyage. It looks bizarre.
how'd you see footage if there were no phones allowed?
They have like an official
Someone broke
trailer.
the law.
No, there's like an official trailer. People like, yeah, ABBA in the crowd and stuff. And it just does look like kind of, I don't know, like.
I feel like between you and Sarah, I've already been there, like it's all spoiled already.
Thanks for
could
coming
be.
out tonight, guys. We are ABBA.
Have you guys watched those Mamma Mia movies, by the way?
Yeah, great movies.
Great
There's
movies.
multiple?
There's two. Well, Sarah, sit down. Please tell me you're sitting down because it's Mamma Mia, and then they made a sequel. Do you know what they frickin' called that film? Sarah, they called it with your localization brain. I cannot wait to dish this knowledge on you. They called the sequel Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
No.
They frickin' did it.
Is it better than the original though? Is the question.
Here's my real thoughts on this. Very sincere thoughts. Is the reviews for Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again on Rotten Tomatoes off the charts compared to the original? I think it was like 50% for the first one, like 80% for the second one. So it's like, oh my God, the second one's going to be amazing. This is going to be breaking the rule of film, and it's going to be adhering to the rule of video games by having the sequel be so much better. Watched them both back to back, like night to night, back to back. You know what I mean? First one is better. I think it's just like culturally people realize that, you know what? Listening to a bunch of ABBA music in Greece, that's a good movie, and we should have appreciated that first movie more. So I feel like people were catching up with it with the reviews for the second one. How say you on Mamma Mia? Here we go again. Critical reception, Jacob Keller.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense that people were maybe the second one is taking itself less seriously too.
That
I mean, it's
be.
not like the first one takes itself seriously, but yeah, it's like everyone was like, we're on board with what this thing is doing now, which is a ridiculous movie where you sing ABBA in Greece.
Also, I don't want to tell you what to do because I know this is your entire life online is people telling you to make videos. But Jacob Keller, if you can make a YouTube essay that's just about breaking down the timeline of the Mamma Mia films, because it is the most confusing timeline. Maybe this is more of a Leo Vader type of video. The timeline makes no sense because the sequel, they're trying to do like a Godfather Part 2 thing where it's like jumping back and forth with Meryl Streep when she's young. But then like, wait, when did she have these kids? Like the math makes zero sense for Mamma Mia, and I am waiting for them to respond to my fan letters about it. Thank you for your time. James Pies writes in and says, hey, sports fans. That's us. If you were a professional baseball player, what would your at-bat song be? You know, the song the stadium plays when you go to face the pitcher? New York Mets outfielder Nick Plummer goes up to the plate to the original Mario Brothers theme, and Citi Field even plays the coin sound effects when he gets on base. That's really fun.
That's cool.
James says, I'm playing Fire Emblem Three Hopes currently, so Fodlan Wins is fresh in my mind for my choice. And my non-video game pick would be When I Come Around by Green Day. Around the bases, get it? Well, that's what that song was originally about. I think it was rounding the bases. Then James says, keep on Shrekkin', peace and love. Hell yeah. So for me, you're coming up, because you want to like make yourself seem cool, and you want to kind of intimidate and like energize the crowd, right? For when you're coming up to bat. So you can only do one song, which of course is the Super Saiyan 3 theme from Bruce Falconer from Dragon Ball Z, which if you've never experienced this ditty, might I refresh you?
I mean, this does sound exactly like music that they do play in baseball stadiums.
Not enough. If every baseball game was just nothing but Bruce Falconer's soundtrack for Dragon Ball Z, I'd go to a lot more games, tell you that. And if they painted all of the baseballs orange to look like Dragon Balls, I'd be much more interested. Thank you for your time. What would you all go for at-bat songs?
I would do the song Tradition from Fiddler on the Roof. And come out and really just be hamming it up.
So you'd be doing like a little bit of a bit every time?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Something like... Okay.
That's really good.
That's fun. Yeah, could you use the bat and like do like the umbrella dance where you put it down by your waist and kind of go back and forth? Like, is that the move, I guess?
In Fiddler, they do this crazy thing where they all have like a bottle on their head and then they like walk really low to the ground.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't be good at baseball, but I could really nail the Fiddler dance.
Smart. Janet, you got one?
I forgot to think about this more closely. Because I was like, oh, I love this question. And like, I answer it often. Like, I'm always asking my family like this thing, but I don't know.
Really?
Probably, I guess, yeah. Every time we go to a baseball game, we're like, what would your song be? Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's what you do. You do that, you eat hot dogs, and you drink beer outside.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
you
it.
don't watch baseball because it's boring.
That's right.
But you think about your walk-up
Sometimes
song.
you wear a cute little hat. Sometimes you play the game when it's like Dunkin' Donuts sponsored, which coffee wins? And I'm like, I hope the red mug wins. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, while y'all are out here mastering the game. Maybe like No Way Back or something by Foo Fighters. Something like that. Some Foo Fighters, probably.
I like that. Great choice. All right, Sarah, pick it.
No, I can't.
Pick it. Question of the
I
week.
can't
What do you
pick
got?
it.
You must pick it. One must pick.
I'd want to do like a
help us, Sarah. You're our only hope.
I know. I'd want to do like a Hatsune Miku song. I'd want it to be like J-pop.
Oh.
And at high speeds.
Okay. I was thinking pick for question of the week, but I like that too.
I thought you wanted my song.
No, Hatsune Miku. No, that's great too. That's great too.
I didn't realize this was the end.
We've truly reached the end. Now you must pick it for a second time. All right, here's some options, if I may.
Yeah.
There's a tabletop question. There was the price of indie games. There was the joke about a teacher says spit out your gum while a train says choo choo. There's jet skis. There's cat sitting. There's Discord logic. You were the most engaged out of anybody, Sarah. We saw it in your eyes. You must now lock this sucker down.
What was the jet ski? I know the jet ski one really like kicked off a conversation. What was the question?
The question was do you all think about Wave Race 64 a lot? I mean, look, we're looking for the thing that made the show better. I feel like it's jet skiing.
We can go with jet skiing.
But none of this you can go with. We're looking for the correct choice here.
We can. Oh, it was thoughts on jet skis and jet skis in games? Was that the question?
Kind of, more or less, yeah.
Let's go with that one.
Jacob, Janet, how are you feeling?
And then you ask for a second opinion.
I just want to see.
I trust Sarah and her infinite wisdom.
I also trust Sarah, and if Jacob doesn't trust Sarah, then he's not okay with me.
I trust Sarah.
Okay, there we go. Christian Jimenez, congratulations. You just won Entitled Use Game from Mayan Midpit. Thank you so much, everybody who submitted a question each every week over there on Patreon. Now it's time for something we call Get a Load of This. Is that your fiddler dance, Jacob?
No, I hear the music when you say get a load of this.
I do too. You want to kick it off then, dude?
Get a load of this. Summer Games done quick happened last week.
Yeah.
A lot of good runs, a lot of good stuff. Maybe the most interesting was this glitch showcase of Ocarina of Time, which it is, I both don't want to spoil it, and it is hard to even explain what is happening. But essentially, they are using a Nintendo 64, an original Nintendo 64, and an original console, and they are programming the game as they play it. And so things happen in the game that I will not spoil, but that seem impossible and pre-scripted, but they have actually been, by using like a taskbot, like essentially a robot putting in inputs, they have been like programming the game to do, like, to have new character models and animations and dialogue that was not in Ocarina of Time. It is truly one of the most bizarre things that GDQ has ever done, but it is like absolutely worth watching because it is just so weird. And I watched like a 30-minute video explaining what was actually happening today, and it's like, it is more unbelievable if you understand the scale of like what they're doing.
That's amazing.
So yeah, watch that. It's like 40 minutes long or so, and it's like not really a speed run, but it is completely baffling.
I love that. Hey, get a load of this. Scott Benson, who's the artist from Night in the Woods, he tweeted out this video from I think it's a soccer match over there in England. And he's tweeted out and said, jaw dropped, because it is bananas. So it's at this big soccer match in a stadium, and they have huge banners, and the banners say, respect our pride or expect our wrath during Pride Month. And then a third banner unfolds, and it's a giant image of May from Night in the Woods, like holding an axe. It is ridiculous to see like May from Night in the Woods blown up in this stadium and like as a threatening device. But I thought that was cool to see the artist like, what is this? Like I can't imagine that unfurling after you've created that. But Janet, what do you got?
Get a load of this. I just watched from People Make Games, like the YouTube channel. They did this mini documentary called "The Video Game Developers Resisting Russia's Invasion," and it's looking at Frogwares, which is based in that area. And they talk about like some developers that like joined the fight in the war and some people that relocated and just kind of what it was like when they were releasing Sherlock Chapter 1, I think, at the time, and kind of the struggles with that. And the video, all the ad revenue from the video, and there's a separate link as well, goes to fundraising for support for Ukraine. So that's cool. On.
That's cool. Links below for all this fun stuff. Sarah?
Get a load of this, you guys.
Okay.
I think yesterday, a series of billboards went up in Texas advertising a Final Fantasy XIV free company, which is a guild, advertising their Summer Bash event that they will be hosting in-game at their free company housing. The billboard has the location of their house in-game. It has their Discord link on it. It has the 3 DJs that will be DJing the event. By the way, it's this Saturday, if it doesn't get canceled. It also has the Final Fantasy XIV copyright logo and the copyright information under the logo.
Oh my God.
It also has, on the poster, it has 2 of, I assume, the free company's members on it. One of them is wearing data mined gear that has not been released yet, and they are also using mods on there. So their characters are fully modded, data mined gear. It went up yesterday. It has just blown up the Final Fantasy XIV community. Japan is, they literally asked us a month ago to please not using mods, to please not use mods publicly in their game, you know, keep it private.
Yeah.
And then they just put it on a billboard.
Oh my
Just slapped
God.
it on a billboard. They are currently doing some major damage control. Everybody is at the house in the game, essentially sieging it. There are people on the biggest mounts firing upon the doors, just constantly like firing at it and like sitting on it. And it's basically just become a mess. One of the people on the billboards already got banned for publicly flouting data mined gear and using mods. And they took down the billboards because of the obvious copyright infringement.
Woof. Yeesh.
And they just wanted to advertise their nightclub.
Just trying.
Final Fantasy XIV.
All right. By the way, fun fact, maybe it's like a year and a half ago or so. Maybe it was more than that. But that was an idea. It's like, oh, what if we got a bunch of billboards for MinnMax? Or just got like one billboard in rural Minnesota. And I don't want to point fingers, but I remember we had a meeting about it. And at least one person of the group was like, that is the biggest waste of money. Do not do this. But I still think it'd be kind of fun.
I feel that's more reason to do it.
I know, right? Yeah.
Can you ballpark? I have no idea how much a billboard costs.
It's a great question. Well, it depends on the location. I think, I want to say that like along 94 in Minnesota, I think it was like $2,000 a month or something. Something in that arena.
We can make that our next Patreon goal.
As it's like, you know, sometimes you see in like rural areas clearly just like a person put up some usually like religious lunacy or something, but it's like, yeah, this is just, it's not like mainstream. It's just like a guy decided to do this.
Why not us?
Look, I live in North Carolina. There's a lot of it.
Let me see if I still have it. Okay, here we go. Yep, I have it. Oh, so along 94, it's $900 a month. Whereas closer to
so cheap.
Closer to the Twin Cities, it's $1,200 to $1,700 a month.
Pretty good.
Let's see.
We can't afford not to do this. We don't want to lose money on this.
So you sign contract for a year.
Oh, never mind.
Oh.
Yeah, so it seems a little bit tricky.
Is that why there's so many guaranteed offer guys all over Minnesota? Because nobody can afford the billboards?
Maybe. And then you have to print the vinyl print for it, and that costs $1,200 for the printing
so first of all,
and then for installing.
Where did this free company get the money?
Yeah, I don't know.
Thousands of dollars to put up these billboards.
Unclear. All right. Hey, in the community, Jaren over there on the Discord, they shared a video from Alex Mokala. I forget how to pronounce their last name. But I don't know if you've seen this one, Sarah, but it is, he does a lot of like great coverage of like Persona music and really into bassline stuff. But this is a cover of a song from Final Fantasy XIV called Close in the Distance. And he got 1,000 people to sing this song, like got them all to go remotely to sing this song together.
This. Yeah. Yes, and then it was a beautiful thing, and then it got completely covered up by the billboard incident.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was beautiful and lovely, and it's my least favorite song in the entire game, but everyone else loves it.
Well, there we go. Links below for all this fun stuff. That's it for the show. Thank you so much for watching and listening, everybody. We appreciate it. We do have some stuff going on. First of all, this Saturday, July 9th, we're going to go for a MinnMax community bike ride in Minneapolis. So if you like biking and you're in Minneapolis, please come by and say hello. We're going to be meeting at Sea Salt by Minnehaha Falls. That's Minnehaha Falls, everybody, this Saturday,
These
July 9th.
These can't be real places.
Oh, they are very real. You never could guess what Minnehaha translates to. Janet, you want to guess?
No.
Laughing water. Isn't that perfect? Ain't that perfect and fun? Isn't etymology fun, everybody? But we will be there, and don't be intimidated. We can make this an hour-long bike ride. We can make it shorter. We can make it longer. We're not going to push you to your limits and destroy you. And if you just want to come at like noon and hang out with us after the bike ride, that'd be great. Let's just have some snacks, get a beer or something at that Sea Salt. So again, you can meet us at noon if you just want to hang out at Sea Salt at Minnehaha Falls in Minneapolis. Otherwise, if you want to join us for the bike ride, that's 10 a.m. is when we're meeting there. And Jordan Halmdahl submitted a comment over on Patreon. They say, hey, I left this as a comment on the video version of the podcast, but hopefully more folks will benefit if they hear this on the podcast. Little tip for folks who might drive to Minnehaha Park for the community bike ride from someone who worked at Sea Salt. There's free parking at the Longfellow Gardens lot or in the residential neighborhood just over the bridge on East Minnehaha Parkway. A walk to Sea Salt's like 5 minutes and you don't need to pay. So there we go. So we hope to see y'all there. It'll be a casual get together. So we hope to see some folks that are Patreon supporters or just listen or watch the podcast. It'd be great. Also, this bums me out that this is like a footnote in our section at the end of the podcast because we're planning on making a bigger thing of it, but people got sick and so stuff couldn't happen and we ran out of time. But Joe Juba is no longer a contributor at MinnMax, unfortunately. Jacob Geller said he didn't want to work with them, and so we had to choose one or the other. No, Joe got a full-time job in the consulting game for the video game industry, and
Yay.
Very exciting for him. Very happy. Thank you, Joe. But as a condition there, they said, my God, you're not allowed to go in front of a microphone and utter one syllable about a video game.
They said specifically MinnMax. They said yes. You can be on any other gaming podcast.
Yeah, they're big Nextlander fans over there. So we sadly have to say goodbye to Joe for talking about video games and for MinnMax content, but he has been so sweet. It was great to work with him at Game Informer for so many years, and then I think more than almost anybody, he was just raring to go, excited to create MinnMax content, and it was great to have him, laugh along to some of our content, help out with some deepest dives. So hats off to Joe, and he'll be missed. Also, heads up, everybody, that last week we launched our new Patreon goal, the Trek to Shrek. This is where, if we hit our goal, if we hit $17,000 on Patreon, we are going to be putting Janet Garcia on an airplane. She's going to
say a jet ski.
Well, she's flying to Minnesota, where then we're going to put her on a jet ski, teach her to swim in a Minnesota lake. The point is, we're not really going to do all that stuff.
Sounds kind of gross, but
it is kind of gross.
Wait.
Hey, the check cleared. I'm whatever. Hang
on. Sarah, okay, Janet, we'll get to you later. Sarah, are you saying swimming in a Minnesota lake is gross?
I don't like leeches.
There's not leeches in every lake.
I don't like lakes. I don't like the things that are in lakes.
They're beautiful fish. The point is, if we hit this Patreon goal,
are the ugliest fish.
Well, that's certainly true.
You've seen them? They're monsters.
The point is,
Lakefish ranked on the exclusive to
new show plus
to Trek to Shrek.
Ooh, also good. Okay, so the point is, if we hit this goal, Janet is flying out to Minnesota, and we're making a whole travelogue about her experience, about being in Minnesota. We'll bring her around to the sights and sounds, all that stuff. We'll actually meet her in person for the first time. Maybe she's a VTuber. We really don't know at this point. But we'll meet her in person, and it's called Trek to Shrek. Why?
It's really hard to say.
Why, Sarah Pazorski? Why did we choose such a name?
Because we will be playing...
She's grabbing it right now.
Game of the Year Shrek 2 with Janet.
How much did that cost? It's like a resale sticker on there.
Yeah,
who would ever sell that game?
$9. Yeah, a mistake. This should be going for hundreds of dollars.
That's right.
Let me just make sure the game's in here. Okay, yeah, it is.
Perfect. That's the way we prefer.
It feels a little light.
Yeah, so this is in the MinnMax studio. We'll play local co-op for Shrek 2. So it is a big adventure for the ultimate payoff of just soaking in everything Shrek 2 on the GameCube has to offer. Janet, how are you feeling about the Trek to Shrek so far?
I'm super excited. Someone in the chat asked what I thought about the Photoshop of my face as Shrek's face, or Shrek's face with my face on it.
About these things, I think he does though.
No, Ben did ask. He did ask me. Yes, yeah.
I also asked you, Sarah, at some point.
He asked me if it was fine, and I was like, yeah, of course. Never want anything more. Love a good Photoshop. Still was not prepared for what he actually made, because I thought it'd be like a crude, like, oh, cut out, like I'm just my face on his body, like, you know, quick few second attempts. But this was like, he did like some cuts. He used
animation.
Like the tool. Like there's some shading, there's some blending.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess it was animated. The production value was a lot higher than I was expecting, but I think that speaks to what we're going to create together if this goal is hit.
That's right. I'm really excited because a lot of people also write in and they're like, hey, I'm visiting Minnesota. What should I do? What are the tourist locations? And I feel like this is also a good opportunity. Like that travelogue would just be kind of like the best of Minnesota. And I think it'd be really fun just for that loose format. So help us hit that. If you ever want to support MinnMax, now is a great time to jump in or to jump up your tier, to try out a higher tier. We have plenty of options. You can join the Wall of Heroes. As you can see, so many people this month join the Wall of Heroes and are putting pictures of Jeffem on there. It's not too late if you want to join that, or you can pick a game and become the game champion of that. Or you can play games offline for an hour with us. You can choose any game, any cohort, and we'll play it with you. So let us know. But plenty of people have upped their tier. I want to thank folks like Bob Buel, Nick Fleo, Clemens Zobel, Honeyboy, Joe Garifo, Ray Luaza, Pierce, Brian Alvarado, Luke Strain, Zach Ink, Waitmex, James Game Boy, I Done Been To, Dr. Professor, Boogie, Wesley Minor, Tanner Hoisington, Uncharted Wolf, Alex S., Greg Mahan, Adam, a lot of people up there too. So thank you so much, everybody who's upped it so far, because we're getting close to that goal, everybody. We are close to locking in the Trek to Shrek. We appreciate your support, and thank you to everybody who supports us at the Game Champion tier. They chose these games to be declared the champion of, and this is going to be the last month where you can jump in for the Game Champion before the next roundup, where then we're going to choose and let people vote for the game to make a bonus piece of content about. So Team Fortress 2, the champion is DJDio. Thank you, DJDio, for jumping in and being the champion of Team Fortress 2 officially. Procyon number 6 chose Ghost of Tsushima. They are the champion of Ghost of Tsushima. I love it. ErinJBear, whether they know it or not, they are officially the champion of Earth Defense Force 2017. Happy birthday, ErinJBear. That's from a friend of yours. SteveB, of course, is the champion of Jak and Daxter. Wouldn't have it any other way. So thanks so much. Thanks so much to people who jumped up to that Game Champion tier, all that fun stuff. We appreciate it. Have we said everything?
I think so. You are slipping into like an auctioneer voice.
I know.
So I'm starting to get kind of concerned.
The end of these podcasts, it is just auctioneer. Oh, and then this. We have so much going on. Please help support us. We appreciate it. Speaking of which, we have a bunch of fun interviews coming up. On Thursday, the day this podcast goes live, we have 3 interviews scheduled that I think are going to be up people's alleys and stuff. So if you enjoy those types of interviews, you can always unlock the podcast version and stuff over there on Patreon. And we'll have an exciting round of Trivia Tower this month too. So we'd appreciate your support. Janet, do you want to close it out? Do you have any wise words or thoughts for us?
If you're not already following us on Instagram, I advise you to do so, because Ben literally does a story, I think, every freaking day about what he's doing or / what we're doing in terms of stuff that's getting published or streams and stuff. And it's, as someone that has tried to do that and continuously failed because it's a lot of freaking work, I think it's pretty impressive. And it's a good way to keep up if you zoned out on the last 8 things that were said. That's a great point. But yeah, so go follow that. It's super good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and there's an opportunity to win a free game code every single week on Instagram. So MinnMax Show on Instagram. Check it out, everybody. Jacob Geller, thank you for being here, dude.
My pleasure.
What should people check out if they love you? If people are in love with you, what should they do?
Go to my YouTube channel, Jacob Geller. That's where I am.
That sounds great. Cool. Sarah, what's going on with you?
The usual.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitch at SarahPods. You can find me on Twitter at SarahPods.
That seems cool. Janet, anything you want to plug?
Sure. So I work with Lost and Cole, and we publish Lock On, which is a quarterly video game journal, and we are currently raising money for issue number 4, which just hit full funding, so it's coming out regardless. I think it's our first time doing it outside of Kickstarter as well. So if you're someone who's like, I don't like Kickstarter, good news, we're not on Kickstarter anymore. It's, like I said, it's already fully funded, so it's definitely dropping. But if you want to get your issue, paperback, hardcover, whatever version, head to lostandcold.co.uk and you can get that issue. I have an article
and now
on Media
Janet's
Molecule.
publishing things.
She won't be stopped.
What? She got COVID and she's like, here's my publication.
Yeah, you say Instagram stories are hard, but meanwhile you're pumping out 1,000 TikToks and publishing.
I'm a new person. I have barely done any of anything, and it's an incredible team of people that know a lot of stuff, which has been very fun to be a part of. But yeah, I have an exclusive. Well, I mean, exclusive. Like I made it. But I have a thing with Media Molecule, the development of dreams. That's going to be super fun in that issue. So. And there's a cajillion other amazing writers that are featured. So yeah, there's all that info out there if you're interested. But yeah, we have something from the creator of Citizen Sleeper in this issue, I believe, as well. So
that chicken nugget game?
With the chicken nugget game, apparently. No idea what that means, but there's a lot of fun stuff in there.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We appreciate your support. We'll see you here next week. Be good. Have fun. Let's go.